of working with us on this issue because the vacancies on our court are having a very significant impact on our public safety system and our economy. But the problem with getting judges on our court is not sitting with the JNC. The way to solve getting judges on our court, and I appreciate your willingness to think about solutions, would be to allow our mayor to nominate judges and have our council confirm judges the way it's done in your state and states around the country, and we would get that vacancy on our Superior Court fixed right away. So there are multiple ways of getting it solved. I don't think the JNC is the problem. I think the problem has been in the White House and in the Senate, and we could solve this problem together if you would be open and your colleagues open to changing the law to allow the mayor to nominate, the council to confirm, just like states around the country do. And I appreciate your spirit of cooperation.
Yes, sir. And my only comment to you is,
for the city, I get it.
like a lot of things here, they have been in control of the council or the mayor, and we slightly disagree. We slightly disagree about the crime bill. We slightly disagree about a lot of things. I'm trying to fix it. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, thank you. We believe that if a president has some skin in the game in this town, Republican or Democrat, they will follow through and get those judges confirmed. I want to thank each of you, Mayor. I'm going to walk down and give you just a note. General.
Could I answer for just a second? I think the problem is, if Mr. Chairman, may I just...
Go ahead.
Thank you.
This is part of good dialogue, sir.
I agree. In my view, the problem is that the district is not important enough to the federal government. It's important today in this hearing, but that vacancy for 13 years, no president has seen us important enough to submit a nomination.
That's crazy.
December,
it's been nominated.
Last December, the Senate didn't think it was important enough to confirm the judges that were pending that had been reported out of committee, because there are always other issues, there are national issues that are more important.
But the president nominated them.
Okay.
The president could have worked it.
Y'all could have good conversation.
And the ranking member, thank you for allowing me this time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Ms. Randall from Washington State.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today as your city goes through these difficult circumstances. I've heard a lot of discussions over the past few weeks about public safety and crime in Washington, D.C., here on the Hill, and from my friends and neighbors who live in the District of Columbia. And these concerns about crime have been used as justification for President Trump's militarization and occupation. Like my Republican colleagues, I believe that federal government has a role to play in improving public safety. I would also say, like my Democratic colleagues, we believe that everyone deserves to feel safe. Where we seem to differ is that I prefer to focus on proven, not performative solutions. Proven solutions are those that invest in community, but my Republican colleagues arbitrarily cut $1 billion from the DC budget in March of this year, which has impacted the city's ability to fund the police, firefighters, and other public safety programs. And then, while holding these funds hostage, the president deployed National Guard in the name of public safety, instead of giving DC the funds necessary to provide safety. And at the same time, Donald Trump and congressional Republicans have made the largest cut in history to Medicaid, regardless of the fact that Medicaid expansion under the ACA led to a significant drop in violent crime nationwide. What we're seeing from this administration is unlawful, undemocratic, and follows the playbook of an authoritarian government. Across the country, a total of more than $4 billion in federal funding that supports American families, businesses, and local governments has been frozen or terminated.
The simple reality is that
withholding these federal government funds that have been constitutionally appropriated by Congress can and will be used to coerce other American states and cities into cooperating with this rogue administration in fear of having their cities occupied too. In Pierce County, in my district, they have nearly $200 billion of federal funds that could be at risk, which includes $700 $706,000 grant from the Department of Homeland Security's Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Program that was abruptly terminated. These funds were dedicated to implementing, like the name says, targeted violence threat assessments in our schools to mitigate youth violence and radicalization. The Department of Homeland Security's letter stated that the grant was being terminated in part because the department, consistent with President Trump's direction, is focused on advancing the essential mission of enforcing immigration laws, securing the border, and combating anti-Semitism. Consequently, grant projects that support or have the potential to support activities not aligned with DHS's current focus do not effectuate the agency's current priorities. What is so explicitly clear to me is that this administration's excuses of sending the National Guard to local cities in defiance of the local governments in order to address crime and improve public safety are an absolute sham when they are canceling funding left and right that would actually help our local governments address these very issues.
I hate to say it, again, most members of Congress aren't actually engaging as my favorite Jasmine Crockett, right? Because if you had 50 firebrands in the House, they'll be like, you know what, wow, it's engaging. But hold on, this is homie Greg Jackson speaking.
Our government has been helping states prepare to identify and intercept targeted violence across the country. In fact, the Department of Homeland Security was required to work with state government on that. But those resources through CISA and other preparatory agencies or departments are under siege.
Oh, I haven't been
But what
checking
we're also
that
concerned
chat.
about
How's the
is
stream
just the
going? Pretty
direct
good.
federal law enforcement resources for agencies like the ATF that are specifically focused on intercepting guns from getting into our communities. And again, with cities like DC, where 95% of the guns are coming from outside the state, that federal law enforcement is crucial, but are now experiencing over 40% cut.
Would you say, in your experience, that local investments, like funding for local law enforcement, funding for targeted violence and terrorism prevention, funding for ATF programs, would have a greater effect on public safety than the militarization of our cities?
It's a fact. And frankly, that's what we've seen over the last 2 years with a 31% reduction in homicides. This year, we're still tracking for another 20% reduction in homicides.
Let's go, Greg.
And we think that's a direct result of the resources to prevent violence before it happens.
Thank you for your answer,
My
for your
dog.
work, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Greg Jackson, Jr.
Chair recognizes Mr. McGuire from Virginia in the corner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for coming here today. You know, as a Navy veteran, as a freshman member of Congress, I love our country. And I love Washington, D.C., the history, the people, the culture. This is America's city. And I represent Virginia's 5th Congressional District. People from the 5th Congressional District come here for vacation
your
or
camera
for
in
work
town.
every day, and people from around the country. I think we should all agree, though, that whether you live here or visit here, you should be able to walk down any street in America and Washington, D.C. with your little girl or your little boy
Thank you
and be
all.
safe.
What
I
kind of
think we'd be
production
less
is this?
honest if we said it has not been a problem. And I want to say that the actions of this administration with President Trump have lowered crime and lowered murder rates to record lows. And so I want to start by saying, thank God, President Trump put your security and your safety, law and order, above other divisive ideas. We would not have a country without our men and women in law enforcement, and I see a lot of them around here right now. I just want to thank you. Each of you in your written testimony emphasized the importance of the work of the Metropolitan Police Department is doing to keep the residents of DC safe, and the need to increase funding for the department. And I have a very simple yes or no question. Yes. And do you disagree with defund the police movement? And I'll start with Mayor Bowser. Yes or no?
This
Do
is
you
a good one. That's
disagree with
right.
defund the police?
Yes.
Mr. Middleton
Yes.
and Mr. Schwab
Yes.
and Mr. Jackson.
Frankly, I think you should ask the president that.
That's a yes or no, sir. All right, Mr. Middleton, in your written testimony, you
My
stated
dog,
the
I don't make
following.
that
Since
narrative.
2020, police departments across the region and the country have faced challenges in recent years to hiring and have failed to hit their hiring targets. Can you tell me what major event happened in 2020?
The murder of George Floyd.
Mr. Middleton, in 2020, the DC Council voted in favor of a budget that defunded the MPD by more than $15 million. In the years that have followed, crime has skyrocketed in DC. Do you still stand by this decision? I will remind you that this is a simple yes or no.
Well, as I said to
I just said a yes
another
or no. I've got a
congressman,
very limited time with all due
I
respect.
realize that, but
All right,
these-
Mr. Middleton,
these
hundreds
questions are
of
more
MPD law
complicated than
enforcement
a yes
officers
or no.
What
have
has
left
happened?
the department since 2020 because they don't feel they have support from DC Council. In fact, the council not only voted to defund the department in 2020, you also went so far as to put a target on your officers and their families by releasing body camera footage with the officer's name attached.
Yeah.
For all witnesses, let's talk about DC's fiscal policy. Do you believe DC does a good job at managing their budget? This is just, I don't have much time with all due respect. Yes or no? So Mayor Bowser, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Middleton,
we do an excellent job.
Mr. Schwab,
Yes.
Mr. Jackson.
Yes.
I find that interesting. I'm going to list a few of the programs funded by the city's approved fiscal year 2025 budget. $5 million to support DC's hosting of
Yes,
the
I am.
World Pride 2025. Regardless of party, race, religion, or creed, I love you, but your number one goal should be to keep the citizens safe. Not that. $1 million to support the construction of an LGBTQ+ community center in Shaw.
There you go.
$250,000 to support Black LGBTQ+ history program. $434,000
Boehner
in
Rustin
fiscal year
needs some recognition, though.
25,
What are we talking about?
and $1.3 million across the financial plan to establish a reparations task force. $600,000
California.
to provide workforce development services for transgender and gender non-conforming residents who are experiencing homelessness and housing instability. $40 million
the issue.
to ensure migrants in DC are treated humanely. $868,000 for a cost of living adjustment for council staff. And yes or no, do you stand by these funding initiatives? Yes or no? I don't have much time. Mayor Bowser.
Bowsing
I
all
do.
together. That's great.
Mr.
There we
Middleton.
go. Okay.
Mr. Schwab.
We have a $20 billion
Jackson?
budget, and I stand by what we
Instead of funding these
appropriated.
programs that promote the far-left radical woke agenda, this $48 million could have been used to hire approximately 685 additional MPD officers. If you had put this money towards supporting policies instead of woke agendas, we would have had less murders and safer streets. So I'll go back to what I said. By the grace of God, President Trump loves the American people, regardless of party, race, religion, or creed, and you are safer today. Thank you. Yield
Congressman,
back.
we have fully funded the MPD budget request. Every year, we have fully funded the MPD budget request. The challenge is that there are not enough applicants for big city police departments across the country and in the region.
Good answer. Oh,
Chair
clap
now
back, clap back.
recognizes Mr. Silverman.
Oh, get that up, man. Clap
Thank
back.
you, Mr. Chair. I'd appreciate the conversation today.
Chat is
I
going
mean,
crazy.
Mr. Jackson, you just mentioned you should ask the president the question. I want to tackle that a little bit
Max
because the
Frost in
question
the building.
was, about defunding the police. Yet this
thought
Congress and
Max
this
Frost was
president
Sunday.
has not fully funded the police and fully funded DC with its own taxpayer money, correct? And what we are seeing is that we're hundreds of police officers and law enforcement officials short in DC. So could you explain that a little
Democrat.
bit more?
I mean, I'm
was
moderate.
referencing a
though.
little bit broader than,
I guess,
than
I mean,
DC,
look.
but this Congress has made the largest defunding of law enforcement, I believe, in American history.
Oh, go ahead,
under
go off,
Republican
Greg.
leadership and under Trump's advisement to cut ATF, to cut DEA, to cut FBI, and then the remaining officers that are left, as opposed to putting them to their jobs to intercept guns that are being
Talk to
trafficked
him,
into our
Greg.
communities, they are now patrolling impoverished communities like Ward 8. And so
Oh.
when we talk about defunding the police, we
Talk
should
to him.
look right into the eyes of President Trump and ask him, why are you defunding the federal law enforcement that is supposed to protect our communities from the flow of illegal guns?
Mayor Bowser, would you agree with that?
Man, make sure y'all clap it up for my dog, Greg Jackson, in the building, man.
With defunding the federal law enforcement
What he just
apparatus?
said that this administration and this Congress has not fully funded law enforcement.
I would agree with that.
Exactly, I would as well, because in the end, we're spending millions of dollars a day on law enforcement, on National Guard, instead of spending that money on law enforcement, that should be a more sustainable long-term solution. And we are underfunding crime prevention programs in DC. And what the National Guard is doing here is they're getting bored, actually. They're at street corners just hanging out, and they're not trained to be in law enforcement. And we're spending millions of dollars a day instead while they pick up trash. These are National Guardsmen from Louisiana, where there is a very high crime rate. There's plenty to do in Louisiana. I went to school there, so I know. And from other states that have their own crime problem, that have their own problems back home, but instead they're just being sent here for photo ops, essentially. And they deserve better, their families deserve better, and the people of DC deserve better instead. And so I think what a better solution that's better for taxpayers and better for the American people, and certainly the people of DC, is why don't we just fund law enforcement and crime prevention programs in DC instead of continually underfunding them? Why don't we actually do what Chairman Mendelson just said and try to do more initiatives to find more law enforcement officers, because that is a problem. Recruiting is a big problem. Instead, we're sending the National Guard in. And I've got constituents, I'm in Northern Virginia, who work in DC every single day. And one constituent in Warrenton said, I work in the district, and now I'm in fear of my safety to come to work and go home. With military roaming the streets with possible unchecked authorities, there are many opportunities for harassment and abuse. I'll tell you, it's not just opportunities. People have been harassed and abused. And I've never felt unsafe before, but now I am becoming terrified. And I've gotten stories after story about that. Mayor Bowser, have you gotten stories like that as well?
I have gotten stories about people who are concerned about seeing the military patrolling, policing with guns out of state, and people aren't really sure who they report to.
And I had one person tell me that their kids play soccer on the weekends, and they had National Guardsmen at their soccer practice just hanging out, and the kids got scared, right? And so I think a better solution would be to send those folks, those National Guardsmen from Louisiana and Mississippi, home. And instead, why don't we fully fund DC's crime prevention programs and its budget instead, and actually...
The issue I have right here, and I got to cut the congressman off, is that you're not throwing out a number. Like, you put a placard up that says you're costing us millions, but how much? Because if you're not telling U.S. taxpayers and people on the right and the left how much this is costing them per day to have the National Guardsmen from Louisiana or Mississippi in their state or in D.C., and how they could be transferred, like, what is the real cost? So just talking about it doesn't really help the issue to be transparent. But I'm quite sure, Congressman, you have staff. So make sure you tell your legislative director and the rest of your staff to give you some solid numbers that you could throw out to the people that are watching my stream and your committee who are actually interested in the conversation, because just saying, hey, you're costing us millions doesn't really tell us shit, because gas costs us something. How much is it in your city? You pay like $3.30 something this morning.
Yes, I do.
No, I do, but it's still your time.
Mr. Well, it was like 10 seconds, but I'll recognize you, Mr. Bell, for unanimous consent or whatever.
I request unanimous consent to enter into the record this May 1st, 2025 article from the Washington Post titled
There's formality stuff happening right now. First off,
this
is the first time here, thank you for tapping in. Excuse me, let's start that over.
Disregard this
If it's your first time here, thank you for tapping into the stream. I am your boy, Hip Hop Lobbyist. I'm a professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. And also a little bit of a streamer now. You know, we've grown this channel out since April. Until now, we've kind of grown it out pretty heavy, which is a compliment to the community we've been building. We're almost at 6,000 subscribers, I believe. If you're here, help us nudge it a little bit over that 6,000 mark. We're trying to get to 10,000. I think we'll be credibly notable at 10,000, maybe 100, maybe 1 million, but you're here now, so thank you for taking the time before we get here. Little fitter fitness, I'm doing good. Let's get back to the congressman. They're not speaking about nothing but formalities right now. But let's get back to it. Thank y'all for tapping in, though. There you go. Water. Oh, wow. Antifa. Y'all hear it? Here we go. Game time. Here we go. Oh, y'all can't hear it.
About
Can you hear him now?
this motion to table, the motion that was on the table. So
Damn,
I
y'all
would,
missed. Let me
at a
go
very
back.
minimum, ask that the
me go
minority
back.
be given equal
Hold on,
time.
hold on.
We
Okay,
just
let me know
try-
when
how
y'all
about
hear
we
it.
just hold off on the motion to table?
Yes,
and let's
okay,
get
let me
back
go
to
back.
asking
2
questions.
seconds.
Everybody good with that? Can we, or
Let's get it live before it goes viral.
He was in a relationship.
Unanimous consent to enter into the record this May 1st.
Let's go. There we go. My bad, y'all. My
article
bad. Thank y'all for
from the
checking.
Washington Post titled, Trump Administration Cut School Mental Health Grants Created After
I'm gonna start here, then we're gonna go. It's gonna
show
be
the
a little
complete
bit of
disregard
fireworks.
this
It's about to go
administration
off.
shows toward
We're gonna be like
proven
a minute
solutions to
delayed.
reduce violent crime.
without objection to ordered. And Mr. Silberman, I'd like to remind you that the CR we're going to all have an opportunity to vote on tomorrow restores that $1 billion in funding. So you'll have an opportunity to vote to give the money to the
Mr.
DC
Chair,
Council that you
Mr.
just
Mr. Chair, though, how did it get out in the first place? Was that?
I don't know, but I've been
Looks like
I've been a
Democrats.
very vocal
wasn't that
advocate to
funded in the
get the
first place,
money
Mr. Chair?
restored. So it's
Okay.
I don't know. No one has ever explained that
And
to
that
me.
does not include
But
funding.
you'll
for
have
the
an
police.
opportunity to. You all will all have an opportunity to vote to restore that funding tomorrow. So, all right, Chair recognizes Ms. Green from Georgia.
Here we
Thank you,
go.
Mr. Chairman. I would like to move to table the motion to subpoena. Jimmy Kimmel was fired because he lied on ABC about the identity of the man that Tyler Robinson that murdered, assassinated, martyred Charlie Kirk. He lied. He said he was MAGA. Tyler Robinson was not MAGA, not one bit. He was part of Antifa. He was in a relationship. He was in a relationship with someone who identified as furry and trans, and this is an absurd lie.
Let's say furry.
And so I moved to table the motion to
Here
subpoena.
we go. Watch. Here we
So,
go.
Mr. Chair, since typically this is non-debatable, I do have a point
I second it.
of inquiry because it seems like what we just heard from the gentlelady out of Georgia was her debating why we should table it. So I feel like we should engage, we should all be given an opportunity to engage in debate
It's
about
not
whether or not it's.
parliamentary procedure. It's not
I-
debatable.
But the issue was that the
Hey.
gentlelady from Georgia decided to go on a tirade. So at a very
let
minimum.
Mr. Bell, he did
Well,
more than
start
announce the
jumping.
title of the UC and the
Well, my question
publisher.
is about this motion to table, the motion that was on the table. So I would, at a very minimum, ask that the minority be given equal time
We'll
to
just try. How about we
respond.
just hold off on the motion to table and let's get back to asking questions. Everybody good with that? Can
No.
we? Or
No, he want peace.
Was there no motion submitted then?
He want peace, chat. Ain't no peace in Congress. Ain't no peace.
On a point of order.
withdraw the motion for a little bit or not? It's up to you.
I'll withdraw it until
Okay.
time needed
All
to
right,
bring it back.
Okay, all right. Are you satisfied, Ms. Crockett?
So long as the minority gets equal time
Hey.
as Ms. Green.
All right, okay.
Hey, you know what time it
She
is.
brings it back.
Chair,
know
Chair
what time it
recognizes
is.
Mr. Bell from Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Ranking Member, Mayor, good to see you.
Bro, y'all whining in the chat, dog.
Attorney General Swab, I want to extend my gratitude to your office. When I was prosecutor, we had a very tough case that actually involved a police officer defendant, and you all helped us work with the victim in that case to a resolution that both parties were happy with, particularly our victims, and I appreciate that. And so I have a couple questions that I want to talk about. One, I think a point needs to be made between the role of the National Guard and what they do and actual policing. And those are two different roles. And I think a lot of folks don't understand that difference. A 20-year-old with a gun in the military is taught how to kill, police officers have to do a whole skew of things, including de-escalation. And so I think that it's important that we talk about that. And so my first question, and I'm short on time, Mayor, you were asked a question about the resources and what you would do with those resources, and you were cut off. Could you quickly finish that answer? That was earlier.
The resources with regard to our budget?
Yes.
Yes. So in order to close the $1 billion gap, we looked across our government. So we had to cut citywide contracts related to everything from mental health services to the contracts to give our employees raises, most notably MPD and fire and EMS.
And so law enforcement would be included in that, obviously, and is
Yes.
a priority, but there's also other things that a mayor is responsible for.
Absolutely, including shifting spending that should have happened in '25 related to affordable housing.
Thank you, Mayor. And Attorney General, can you speak to how over-policing and temporary enforcement tactics have addressed or failed to address the root causes of crime in D.C.?
Well, as anybody in law enforcement knows, and anybody prosecuting cases knows, the level of trust the community has with law enforcement is essential. We need witnesses to feel comfortable coming forward. We need victims to recognize that they can come forward. And that trust between law enforcement, our MPD, and communities all around our city is something that we have worked very hard as a city to build over time. But like so much, it can be broken very quickly. And I worry very much about the distrust that has been caused by the recent events to communities who worked very hard to trust their MPD and vice versa.
And I think people also have to understand the cost of sustaining the National Guard in a major city like D.C., or now we're hearing even in my hometown of St. Louis, is astronomical. To send our troops who are trained, who are supposed to be protecting the homeland, to be coming in and doing the policing work, when we could take a fraction of that cost, pennies on the dollar, invest that in local law enforcement who is actually trained, and give them the resources that they need.
Can you still hear or no? Is the echo going? I think I did have a double audio on that. No echo? Or you can't hear nothing? This is why I need a monitor. I'm listening to it now. I can't hear it.
Carjacking case where we have sufficient evidence to meet our burden of proof. They are difficult cases to make from an evidentiary standpoint, from a witness perspective, and yet more than 84% of the cases that MPD brought to us of carjacking last year were prosecuted. So we need to hold young people accountable and make sure they face consequences when they're engaged in carjacking.
And Mr. Jackson, with the remainder of my time, thank you for the work that you do.
Can
you speak to strategies you have found to be the most effective in actually curbing recidivism rates in our juveniles?
Well, we know that one of the most important things you can do is invest in victim services for those who have been traumatized by violence. As I said before, there are 24 states suing the Trump administration for withholding $1 billion for victim service funds through the VOCA Act. But we know that the best way we can reduce violence and recidivism is by investing in those who are most at risk and those who are most vulnerable, whether that's community violence intervention, victim services, mentorship programs, employment-based programs, all of which are under siege or have been cut by this administration.
Thank you. And with respect to victim services, I could not agree with you more. It's so important. Sometimes what gets lost in the argument is we do focus on arresting serious and violent offenders, which is so important, and also alternatives to incarceration for low-level offenders struggling with addiction and mental health. But we also got to be laser focused on our victims, and that impacts so many of our communities. I thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Pursuant to the previous order, the chair declares the committee in recess for 5 minutes. We plan to reconvene in
5 minute recess?
I'm never. If you all
I got a 5 minute recess.
Break, feel free to take it real quick.
I get a little break to talk to y'all. Y'all get to talk to me for a minute, right? They're taking a 5-minute break. First time here, I am a hip hop lobbyist, professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. If you don't know what a lobbyist is, we're basically a sports agent for politicians. Not only do we understand the process, but people pay us, organizations pay us essentially, help negotiate policy for them, appropriations. Appropriations being money, resources, tax dollars to be allocated for certain priority things. And as you saw earlier, there was a fight debate with the congressman. I don't know where he's from. He was talking about, hey, do you support these programs? They got $800,000, $30,000, $1 million, all this other stuff, from LGBTQ programs to transgender people helping finding housing. About $800,000, I think he said, for migrants to essentially, I think, get housing as well. So a lot of stuff put together. But those end up being allocations that somebody essentially goes to an elected official, say, hey, can you help put this in the budget? Can you help, out of the $20 million you have, can you help me get $1 million, $700,000, $200,000, whatever, right? A lobbyist is somebody who essentially a local government, state government, all the way through, who helps negotiate policy like a sports agent would for a brand deal for LeBron James or Steph Curry or even a Tom Brady, right? So even for a fact of it being a different industry, politics, it's still kind of the same intricate things that you see in the entertainment world, other things where you end up being a negotiator of political happenings. So that part is what a lobbyist does, and I appreciate y'all tapping into the stream today, growing it, helping build the channel out. I believe we're still right around 5,900 subscribers. If it's first time here, if you like the content so far, please help us reach 6,000 subs. Let's get there, right? But I'm going to try to find another video for us to watch. We were watching earlier President Barack Obama speak on the Charlie Kirk assassination, which was very unfortunate, to be honest. And I am watching the committee on the side. But I do want to go to something that's kind of relevant, which is Jimmy Kimmel being fired, which I think is kind of crazy because I don't really understand what all he said. So let's get to Jimmy Kimmel. Let's go to the monologue itself, if I can say, if they haven't pulled it off the internet so far. But there are thoughts there. I mean, I think a lot of people, I talked about it in the group chat. We're just reading, trying to find the best one. Yeah, I found it. But a lot of people in the group chat I talked to about my FIFA chat, they were like, hey, it's free speech, fuck around and find out. Those things happen, right? And I think that's fair to an extent, but I do also feel that maybe there are a lot of Americans out there who don't really know what free speech is, right? What is constituted under the guidelines of the First Amendment of free speech. And it's kind of crazy because people say whatever. But to be fair, people said whatever during George Floyd, and they fucked around and found out and lost their job too. And I think that, can't scroll up, chat's not crazy. It is what it is. Either way, let's get to the Jimmy Kimmel monologue and see if it was a fireable offense. Y'all ready? I know some people probably seen it. Let's get here. Let's have the dialogue while we wait for DC Mayor and Congress to come back from their break. Our tax dollars don't break. I guess that was it. So that was, y'all heard it, right? Let me run back again, because that's somebody else's content, of course, but no audio again. What is happening? I switch over to one, I do the other. It basically tells me, hey, it's doubling up. Like, this is wild. I think this is the right one. Doing it again. And ABC has suspended Jimmy Kimmel late night. Something else I read, one of the, syndicators basically said that in order for Jimmy Kimmel to come back on their syndicated networks, he would have to make a donation to Charlie Kirk's foundation, Turning Point Media, and things of that nature. And I get it, but There's still no sound? Still? Where's the smoke alarm beep? Here it is. Was there sound on that, or can I keep talking? There's still no sound? Oh my God. Let me just double up audio. This is, it's not me, it's OBS, because I'm not doing nothing different. No bullshit. All right. I gotta do this here, reset the window. Hey, window, go bank account information there. Hopefully this works, because I'm tired of like redoing this as if, you know, I'm listening to it and I'm talking to myself and like, oh, we all hear you, Phil. Do y'all like my voice? I appreciate it if you do.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Yeah, so Jimmy Kimmel suspended from that, and again, it's unfortunate.
We were just about to walk in. Interestingly enough, they waited to pull the plug on this right as the studio audience was about to walk in. It wasn't like this morning or last night. They waited for everyone to come into work today. You know, they didn't tell. And interestingly enough,
let's go back. Let's go on back.
We were just about to walk in. Interestingly enough, they waited to pull the plug on this right as the studio audience was about to walk in. It wasn't like this morning or last night. They waited for everyone to come into work today. You know, they didn't tell us what had happened. They just said that the show was canceled. Initially, my concern was, you know, I hope everyone's okay, no one got injured. As they told us the show was being canceled, at the same time online, they announced that it was indefinitely, which you can probably assume is forever, taken off the air because of certain comments that were made, which I was not aware of, and then I went to go look to see what those comments were, and they didn't really seem to justify, you know, means. You know, it seemed to be a bit extreme.
Mr. Chairman.
A recorded vote is ordered. The clerk will call the vote.
Jimmy Kimmel saying leave.
Now is the time to get together. Now is the time to find people that are just like you, who feel the same, and join with them and drag them along tomorrow, 4:30, right here. Be in protest, standing with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel.
Ms. Fox votes yes. Mr. Grothman.
That's wild. How do you feel about Jimmy Kimmel piece? We'll get back to it. They're back in. They're voting. Got a thing on the motion. They're back from recess.
Mr. Cloud votes yes. Mr. Palmer. Mr. Palmer votes aye.
Audio here.
Mr. Higgins.
We'll find it 1 second.
Mr. Sessions. Aye. Mr. Sessions votes aye. Mr. Biggs. Aye. Mr. Biggs votes aye. Ms. Mace.
Aye.
Ms. Mace votes aye. Mr. Fallon.
Aye.
Mr. Fallon votes aye.
All right, I'm gonna fix the audio issue. I just found out what the problem is. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mute them for a second. Let me fix the audio. Patience, people, please. You know, it's like 100-something y'all in here, which I really do appreciate. Jimmy the Liar. I think by the Friday monologue, we kind of knew what was what. And I think that, you know, people were still out there saying different things. It's gonna look crazy here for a second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Gotta fix it up for my people on the vertical stream. Because the issue was I had another window open. Double the window, double the fun, double the problem. Let me see if I can cut this right. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. All right, there we go. For my people on the vertical stream, we should only have one audio now. Hopefully it's there. Is there anything listening? I don't even hear shit. Oh, I've muted it, that's why. I mean, come on, Phil, tighten up,
Mr.
bro.
Gill votes aye. Mr. Garcia.
No.
Terrible ratings too. I don't watch
Mr.
late night like I used
Garcia
to.
votes no.
To be
Ms.
honest,
Norton.
I couldn't tell you to be all the way fair.
Ms. Norton votes no.
I couldn't tell
Mr.
you
Lynch.
if the ratings were horrible or good or whatever on Jimmy Kimmel because
Mr. Lynch
I haven't
votes
watched late
no.
night since
Mr.
Jay
Krishnamurthy.
Leno.
No.
I was watching Jay Leno in high school.
Mr. Krishnamurthy
And I'm
votes
40
no.
So
Mr. Khanna.
I'm not a late night guy like I used to.
Mr.
But
Khanna
gaming,
votes no.
I'll be on your late night games.
Mr. Mfume.
That's for sure.
Mr.
I'll be on a late night
Anthony
video
votes no.
game for sure, for
Ms.
sure.
Brown.
FIFA drops
Ms. Brown
tomorrow,
votes
FC
no.
26.
Ms.
I
Stansbury.
just got that 2K, haven't played since 23.
Ms. Stansbury votes no.
Third party can't make it unless
Mr.
they got the
Frost.
money. The billionaire, you better get billionaires from both sides in order to get a
Mr.
third
Frost
party.
votes no. Ms.
But it
Lee.
still won't be enough, man.
Ms. Lee.
Again, I
votes
appreciate y'all
no.
tapping in for the stream
Mr.
today.
Cassar.
Wherever you are in the world, if you're on your
Cassar
phone,
votes
we're
no.
streaming the YouTube
Ms.
Shorts,
Crockett, no.
vertical stream at least.
Ms. Crockett
Um,
votes no.
some reason they said I got suspended off TikTok. We were streaming on TikTok
Randall
earlier,
votes no.
and they said I got suspended off TikTok, which is kind of crazy to me, but whatever, right? I think it's because I'm not gaming on that. You know, TikTok, they want you to game too. They don't want you to just talk politics. So, suspended off TikTok for 7 days. And if you're streaming, or if you want to watch here, I'm on Twitch, and YouTube right now, vertical, and I have a camera stream going. So if you're going to go to your office desk, want to get off your phone, move to your iPad, you can check it out there. But let me get back to it. Hopefully they're talking about something. Yeah, any questions from the chat? Hey, a little bit.
I vote aye. And how has Mr.
Oh,
how has Mr.
I do have a house
Timmons
guest coming.
been recorded?
Mr.
I'll be
Chairman
back, y'all.
votes aye. Mr. Timmons is not recorded. Mr. Timmons votes aye.
And how has Mr. Higgins been recorded?
Mr. Higgins is not recorded. Mr. Higgins votes aye.
Will the clerk please add the total?
Mr. Chairman, on this vote, the ayes are 24, the nays are 21.
The motion is tabled. Before I recognize Ms. Green, I'm going to recognize the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, I want to thank Representative Khanna for the motion, but I also just want to just say that the chairman and I have been talking throughout the last 30 minutes or so, and we're both going to try to work together on an effort to bring in Mr. Carr in front of the Oversight Committee. And it's of interest to both the majority and the minority. And so we're going to try to move forward in a bipartisan way to get in front of the committee. So I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Chair, have a UC?
I do too.
I'm going to recognize Ms. Norton for unanimous consent.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request. I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article on the cut to DC's local budget, Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Chairman, while I know you oppose the cut, Republicans keep saying today that their fiscal year 2026 continuing resolution fixes the $1.1 billion cut they made to DC's local budget, which consists entirely of local funds in the March CR. They are misleading the public. The Senate passed Senator Collins' bill to restore that funding in March. It has been sitting on the Speaker's desk since then. Republicans can never undo the last several months.
We'll enter into the record that statement. So it's without objection, it's entered. I recognize Ms. Crockett for unanimous consent.
Yes, Mr. Chair, since I wasn't allowed equal time to debate, I have a UC. It is from, it looks like Yahoo News. It says, Charlie Kirk suspect's grandma says family is all MAGA.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair recognizes Ms. Green from Georgia.
Mr. Chair, remember I have a UC as well.
We'll recognize you next time. Chair, Ms. Green, it's your 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can assure you that the 22-year-old man, Tyler Robinson, that murdered Charlie Kirk is not MAGA. His family may be Republican, but all of the evidence that is being presented proves that he is a far leftist, very much integrated in online groups that are linked to Antifa. He was in a relationship with a biological male, so-called furry, whatever that is transitioning to be a fake woman. He was not MAGA, not one bit. That is a complete lie, and it's an insult to every single Republican and person that identifies with those type of politics. We will not tolerate it. And that is the exact type of language that is getting many of us death threats day after day, and led to shootings on the baseball field where Steve Scalise was shot. This is what led to President Trump nearly being assassinated this past summer. This is what has led to Charlie Kirk being assassinated. And so I just want to give a warning there. We're not going to tolerate that anymore. You know, something else we're not going to tolerate is crime. On August 11th, President Trump announced major steps to address the out-of-control crime in the district. Thank God, because this is my 5th year in Congress, and living in D.C. and working here has been a nightmare. It is. The crime is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And let's talk about some of that. Since President Trump thankfully brought in the National Guard, carjackings have decreased by 87%. Nearly 1,200 people have been arrested, including known members of MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Those are both foreign terrorist organizations. By the way, many of them came across the border while Democrats controlled this country in the past 4 years. Federal law enforcement seized nearly 120 firearms and busted a drug trafficking ring attempting to smuggle fentanyl, PCP, and cocaine into D.C. A joint effort by ICE and MPD arrested an illegal alien previously charged with sex crimes against a child. D.C. went 12 days without a single homicide. Can you imagine that that's something that the National Guard had to be here to do? It's unbelievable to anybody that is right-minded. U.S. Attorney Pirro reported that 88% of arrests made between the start of the federal deployment on August 11th and August 25th resulted in charges being filed. This is substantially higher than in 2024, where the Biden-appointed U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves charged suspects only 57% of the time. That's because he was busy chasing down MAGA grandmas that went into the Capitol.
That's crazy.
So I've got a simple question for you. Mayor Bowser, do you prioritize criminals or the victims?
What?
I prioritize law-abiding D.C. residents, visitors, and workers.
So that would be law-abiding citizens and victims. Do you support the police, Mayor Bowser?
Yes.
Mr. Mendelson, do you prioritize criminals or victims of criminals?
I believe in swift and certain justice. And
No,
if
I asked you
somebody has committed
either
a
one.
crime-
Victims of criminals, of crime, or the criminals themselves. Which one do you prioritize?
As I understand the question, victims.
Victims. Do you support the police, Mr. Mendelson?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Schwab, I'll ask you the same questions.
Unfortunately, hurt people. So sometimes victims are victims one day and
So
are
you
perpetrators the
prioritize
next
the
day.
criminals, is that what you're saying, over victims of crime?
I prioritize making up my city as safe as it can possibly
I'll take
be.
that as criminals. Do you support
Damn.
police, Mr. Schwab?
Of course, we work very closely with MPD every day.
Mr. Jackson, the same questions for you.
Definitely prioritize victims, and I stand with the 24 states that are suing the Trump administration for withholding $1 billion in victim service funds.
So you're against cleaning up crime in D.C. Thank you for that. I've got an article here. The D.C. Police Union head is the biggest cheerleader of Trump's D.C. police takeover. So the police here in the district support the efforts and the help from the president. However, I've got a quote here from Mr. Mendelson. You call the union celebrating Trump's takeover just despicable. You literally attack the police in your statements. You're calling
That's not correct.
the union supporting the president and the National Guard here, helping them every day on the streets. You're quoted as saying that's just despicable.
You're taking that out of context. I criticized the president of the FOP because he is a liar.
Oh, so you are against the police.
No,
Thank you for clearing that up.
no.
Also, I have
President
one
of the
last thing,
The
Mr.
president
Chairman.
of the FOP, not the police.
I reclaim my time. Lastly here, Mr.
Gentlelady's
Mendelson.
time's expired.
You,
Gentlelady's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr. Bell.
Go on, man. It's out of your ass too. That's crazy.
Okay.
I would like to enter for the record.
All right, I'm sorry, Ms. Green. I recognize Bell. That's on me. I apologize. We'll get you on the next one.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I request unanimous consent to enter into the record the September 9th, 2025 article from the LA Times titled, Kennedy Commission Child Health Report Ignores Gun Violence, the Leading Cause of Child Death, which calls out the Trump administration for ignoring
Without
how gun
objection to
violence
order.
kills more children in this country than any other cause, and the administration ought to be embarrassed by
Without objection, so ordered. And I,
think Ms. Crockett's unanimous.
Ms. Crockett's next.
Do you have a UC?
I'll recognize Ms. Green, then Ms. Crockett. Ms. Green, do you have a unanimous consent request?
I do, thank you. For the record, Phil Mendelson's post here says repealing our laws is not liberation. Republicans in Congress can't be trusted. They took $1 billion from us, are moving more than a dozen bills, rolling back home rule, and are trying to take away our elected independent attorney general and micromanaging our legislative process. I hope everybody watched Democrats vote against the vote that adds $1 billion back in for DC. Thank you.
Midterm the next November, don't forget it.
Recognize Ms. Crockett.
Yes,
for
I request
UC.
unanimous consent to enter into the record this September 16, 2025 article from Time titled Trump Called for a Crackdown on the Radical Left, but Right-Wing Extremists Are Responsible for More Political Violence, which calls out the game the president is playing in which he creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public from the Oklahoma City bombing to January 6th.
Let's go.
So ordered.
All right, the next one is for, it's an article from September 12, 2025. Article is from Democracy Docket titled, I Couldn't Care Less. Trump's downplaying of right-wing violence continues long pattern, which calls out the game the president is playing in which he creates a fictional problem while downplaying the real history of far-right violence against the American public.
Without objection, so ordered. Chair now recognizes our newest member, Mr. Walkinshaw from Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to express my gratitude to Leader Jeffries and Ranking Member Garcia for the opportunity
Real
to join.
quick before the congressman speaks. The right-wing violence, I think the family, the elected officials in Minnesota that were killed by a Republican that dressed up as a police officer, that's some right-wing violence for you. That's some right-wing violence for you.
Federal employees in the nation, a voice in conducting oversight of the federal government at a time when the Trump administration's reckless DOGE cuts have undermined the effectiveness, accountability, and integrity of federal operations and threatened the livelihoods of the federal employees, contractors, and small businesses that I represent. I am firmly committed to protecting both the critical services our government provides to everyday Americans and the dedicated workforce behind them. With that, I want to thank Mayor Bowser, Chairman Mendelson, Attorney General Schwab, and Mr. Jackson for taking the time to be here today. I also want to welcome, we have a number of other members of the City Council who have joined us. Thank you for joining us, and thank you all for your service. 10 days ago, I was a local government official as well, serving on the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, and that's a role that gave me an understanding and respect for the importance of the work that you do as local officials. Local government is the most accountable level of government because the decisions you all make directly and immediately impact your constituents' quality of life. And I know that your constituents, like mine in Fairfax, are not shy about telling you all what needs to be done or done differently. As President Reagan said, that government is best which remains closest to the people. And you all are closest to the people you represent, not us. As Mayor Bowser said in 1973, Congress passed the DC Home Rule Act to, among other things, grant to the inhabitants of the District of Columbia powers of local self-government.
Let's go.
To achieve this goal, the Home Rule Act expressly gives DC residents the power to elect their mayor, legislative body, and attorney general. Some of my colleagues, however, while praising the benefits of local autonomy and authority elsewhere, seek to strip that autonomy from DC residents as part of an effort to support a federal takeover of our nation's capital by President Donald Trump. Another stated purpose of the Home Rule Act, and I haven't heard this mentioned today,
Let him use the box. I get you, man.
quote, relieve Congress
Let
of
me
the
use the Congressman
burden
for a
of
second. You know,
legislative
sometimes I do realize that after working in politics 15 years, the people who are on all sides of the aisle that believe crazy shit, that say crazy things, right? And I think the power of the keyboard, Twitter fingers, is very powerful these days. And just like I'm gonna be able to connect with a lot of you who are on your phones, on your streams, on your computers, on wherever, I think it's telling But you're spending time with your boy to listen to this. Change your alarm battery, Dustin. Bruh, it's a soundboard, baby. Hey, I'll put the comment up, man. I love the fact when y'all do that. All you talk about. But end of the day, I thank y'all for tapping in.
Tens of thousands of people will see their health care cost skyrocket. And meanwhile, as has been mentioned, President Trump continues to cover up the Epstein files, and a government shutdown.
That's very true, Jacqueline. I love that quote.
In the
She's
face
not
of
educated.
all
She's a
of
lawyer.
this, how does the majority choose to spend its time? By interfering in DC's local government and further
She's just black.
disenfranchising.
Joe, I can't give you that, man. Do you know Jasmine Crockett's history? You didn't even go and explain it. If you stay on the stream long enough,
from our witnesses,
we can maybe do watch a whole documentary on Jasmine. You can tell me if you really think he's ignorant.
Really
after you learn more about it, Joe.
To help President Trump tighten his grip, to help him feel like he is in control.
She's exploiting
failed policies.
Let me read the chat while I'm kind of boring. I don't think she's exploiting black people. She's exploiting how you get the culture involved and pay attention to politics. Because Hakeem Jeffries is boring. Cory Booker is boring. There are a lot of elected officials that cannot garner the attention of the media or the president because they're boring. Chuck Schumer, boring, right? A lot of politicians are boring. So it's really, when you think about it, politicians are nerds. They're the nerds that sat in the cafeteria, or the guys that were popular and now they have no friends. Now that, they're in this insulated piece and they're boring, right? Jasmine Crockett at least is a firebrand that brings attention to what's happening, but you may not like it, but it exploits the fact of how she can really engage the culture. Thank you.
Mental health issues with these people that were living in squalor. There was incredible drug use. There were muggings. There were carjackings. There were just immense, unnecessary.
That I Joe. See, I don't agree with that. Why is all your music, TV, violence, all stealing, drugs, and demeaning women? I mean, listen. Big X the Plug just dropped the country album. We talk about heartbreak and love and business and, a good country album. I'm thinking Hootie and the Blowfish. I don't think, it's a generalization. You may take what's popular and be like, damn, this is popular hip hop music, Drake, Kendrick, Ice Cube, whoever you listen to, right? Cool, rap music. But Afro beats. See, the thing is, you're saying your music. Who is your? I'm black. So are you character, like, you know what I'm saying? How you know I'm not listening to Jamaican or reggae, Caribbean music, right? Afro beats. You can't generalize what it is, but even for that genre of music, some people like hearing that. Some people are motivated by that. Some basketball players, Tom Brady may even listen to it. It doesn't necessarily say, hey, I'm a gangbanger, as you're saying in the chat. All the rest of the stuff, it's like all the guys in the NFL are gangbangers. Some of these guys are very educated. There was a guy named Myron Rolle, went to Florida State, all-star safety, went to play, I believe, with the Tennessee Titans. Left there, and I believe he's a damn brain surgeon or something. Went to Oxford, right? Not everybody who's in the persona is who you paint this picture to be, Joe, for what it is, right? You might be, but the culture is a problem. The culture, all cultures have problems, but what? I appreciate it. It's cool to be a gangbanger. No, it's good to be a hustler. I don't think anybody's saying I'm gonna be a gangbanger. People are hustling. What is a gangbanger to you? Is it a YN? Is it a criminal? I mean, the mafia Italians, they had gangbangers. Like, how did it help them? Right? Loom, I see you, my man. Welcome back. Right? It gets to a point of saying, I get where you're going, but it's a generalization. It's just like if I said that country music is the reason why more white people who are in jail are arrested for drunk driving and DUIs. These are facts. Right? You can Google it. What are most DUI driving offenses? Who gets arrested the most? Overpopulated? White people, right? Essentially. But we're not going after country music to say, hey, you're depressing people, right? And you're leading them to drink, and you're leading them to have DUIs. And then you want to generalize the rap music as the counter piece of it. It's like, it could be ignorance. because there's stories in the rap music, just like there's story in blues. You can't just blame the culture on what your genre or what your ideology is on what rap music has an impact on the crime and all the rest of this stuff. Because guess what? I'm quite sure Aiden Ross and a lot of young YNs or YCs in the suburbs are listening to rap music too. But rap music's not leading to them with opioid addiction, is it? What are we talking about? Don't get back to the congressional piece. Appreciate y'all tapping in though.
That is why you're going to lose authority. You're going to lose power. Instead of doing that, what you should
You don't
be doing,
look
you should be
inward. Oh, I'm gonna keep going. Joe's talking. No, bro, no drive-bys in the country. Yeah, you know what they do? You know what they do in the country? They have arsons, burglaries, larceny, what else? And financial crimes and DUIs. That's what they have in the country. They're more likely to burn your house down. You may get burglarized. You may have a DUI, a DWI, or have somebody there. You know what? Also, 70+% of juveniles in the country that are Caucasian are also in drugs and drug issues. We're talking about opioid addiction, right? Why aren't you so focused on that? Are you blaming country music on why 70% of juveniles that are arrested for drug crimes are Caucasian? Or is it more factual to be like, you know what? Hey, the problem is Jasmine Crockett. The problem is the Democrats. The problem is black folks. Go Google this. I'm not going to tell you something I haven't Googled. Actually, yesterday, something I didn't Google. I just thought I assumed because it was 2 black kids in Mississippi that were killed. But guess what? It was one kid at Delta State University, another man in Vicksburg, a white man, a homeless man that was hung. Something passionate happened in the comments. Something passionate happened in the chat as well. But let's get to the facts. They're shooting each other. They're driving and getting drunk and they're killing each other. You have kids today that are giving their friends opioids, getting addicted, and they're overdosing. I had a friend, a white friend, Shelly Ives. We used to walk to the bus stop together. I used to walk her home to her home, and we had birthday parties and all. She overdosed. Left her family and her kids. Well, her husband overdosed. She overdosed, and her mother was raising her kids. Guess what? It happens. They may be shooting in the black communities, but they're overdosing in the white communities. We have a problem that we don't need to point the other thing at other people about. That's all I'm trying to say. We have a problem in our communities, whether in the country or the urban world, where we have an issue. We're basically like, hey, we're going to blame this on black. This is the problem. But then we're not looking at the fact of the domestic violence that's happening on both sides of the aisle. Let me get back to the congressional people. I appreciate y'all tapping in. I think we're almost at 6,000. Help me get there. Appreciate y'all. Joe, I appreciate you. Joe, I appreciate you. If you want to, Joe, for real, I'd love to have you on the stream. We can have a conversation. I would love to have you on the stream. If you are, let me know. I can email you a link. We can make that happen today, most likely.
Specifically gun violence, and you have researched what works and actually keeps people safe. We've heard a lot of rhetoric today, loud, inflammatory, dangerous, misleading at best, so let's separate fact from fiction. I'll make a statement and you'll answer with fact or fiction. Let's start. A 14-year-old has a fully developed brain.
Fiction.
Yes, that's fiction. Easy. Middle schoolers are still learning and growing.
I do
Science
understand per
tells us
capita.
the brain isn't fully developed until our mid to late 20s, which means children do not have the same judgment, impulse control, or decision-making capacity as adults. Yet just this week, Republicans passed legislation that would prosecute children as adults and send them to adult prisons. Children in adult prisons. Next question, Mr. Jackson, fact or fiction? The criminal legal system incarcerates black youth at disproportionately higher rates than white youth.
Fact.
Correct. That's fact. Nationally, black kids are 6 times as likely as white kids to be incarcerated. In D.C., the focus of today's hearing, the disparities are even more stark. Despite making up only 51%
I'm not talking about just DUI. I'm talking about
black
crime.
children in D.C. are
talking about crime, right?
98% of youth confinement. For too long, black youth have been disproportionately criminalized, policed, and locked up for normal adolescent behavior rather than receiving the resources and support that are proven to help them grow and reach their full potential. Last one, Mr. Jackson, fact or fiction? Trauma-informed strategies like community violence intervention help to disrupt cycles of
Salty,
violence.
that's crazy.
Correct, that's a fact.
gonna address some
Investing
of
in
this chat on
prevention, mental
the
health, and
council.
community-based support keeps people safe. These are real, sustainable solutions. In the Massachusetts 7th, which I represent, cities like Boston, which Trump has threatened to attack next, are partnering with organizations like the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute to make these investments and are seeing historic lows in crime as a result. If Republicans were actually serious about reducing crime, they would follow that example, but they are so unserious. Instead of going after predators and pedophiles like Jeffrey Epstein, they are going after children, passing policies to ship middle schoolers to adult prisons. That is child abuse. And it is consistent with their pattern of abuse and neglect when it comes to all our children. They let children go hungry by cutting SNAP. They make children sicker by cutting Medicaid and taking away vaccines.
There she go.
They strip environmental protections, leaving more kids gasping for air during asthma attacks. They rip families apart with cruel immigration policies as children watch their parents taken away from classroom windows, and they ignore the strange fruit of young black men like Trey Reed hanging from the trees of Mississippi. Time and again, Republicans prove they are unserious about the care, the health, and the future of all our children. They are invested only in fear and control, and that's what they're doing here today. Republicans are certainly not keeping us safe. Free DC.
Great speech, but to be fair, there was also a white man in Vicksburg, Mississippi that was hung a homeless man the same time again, to be fair.
It's 2012, is that right?
Correct.
And you've been on the city council itself since 98?
Correct.
27 years. I don't know when 98 became 27 years ago, but it is.
Let me address this in the chat, right? Somebody said, hey, he doesn't understand per capita. I do understand per capita. Yes, per capita, black people are in jail more compared to their population. However, go look this up. I Googled it. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Per capita, white people are in jail more for driving offenses like DUI, DWI, killing people while driving compared to their population. 55%, maybe 2%, maybe 81, maybe 80 up plus. 70% of all arsons, 70% of all financial, no, 68, 64% of all financial crimes. 70% of all arsons, 70% of all burglaries. What are we talking about? 70% of all juvenile offenses for drug offenses are young Caucasian people. What I'm saying is, if we're going to criminalize black people for the issues that are happening in our community as Americans, yes, crime is bad, right? Assaults happen more than DUIs. Cool, yes, per capita, whatever, right? Memphis that they're going into next is the #1 state for DUIs and drunk driving in the whole United States. Okay, cool. The National Guard being out there is going to curb some of that. Yes, it's going to help save some lives. Yes, it's about saving lives, quality of life, right? Let's not lean on the Bible for religion and how we want to justify everything and not go back to it like, you know what? Assaults and DUIs both have a problem. But what do you think cuts through a family worse? A DUI or random robbery? I'm not justifying either one. They're both wrong, right? Exactly. They're both wrong. But it's a fact of, hey, we're going to sit here and be like, you know, black people, Jasmine Crockett talking about this. Well, nobody's talking about why country music is depressing people and leading Caucasian people in America to be driving drunk every day. 80% plus. That's what I'm saying. Let's fix the narrative. These are all issues that impact American lives, because you can be white or black and get a DUI. You can be white or black and get robbed. Anything can happen, but it comes to a point of saying, you know what, cool. Do I need to pull out my Second Amendment? Do I have my Second Amendment? Can it happen? Do I feel safe in this community? Do I feel safe around sexual predators? Do I feel safe around DUI people? Do I feel safe around black people? These are questions people ask themselves. People live in communities and they check, okay, cool, let me check to see if there's sexual predators in my neighborhood so I know that my kid doesn't walk on that street. This is real life. Let's not bullshit, right? Let's be for real. So even in a country where I Am Joe said, hey, they don't do drive-bys, they have arsons in the country. You have kids serving opioids to kids in the country. What are we talking about? It's an issue. I'm gonna get back to the congressional piece. Again, if you're here your first time, I appreciate you tapping in. Like, subscribe for more. I'm gonna get back to the chat. If y'all try to offend me, cool, but it's not black fatigue. It's like, you know what? I'm tired of nobody having a fair argument on this conversation. Because a fair argument is just saying, oh, it's the government's fault, it's the police's fault. I don't believe it's the police's fault for police in our communities. You have people that don't have the basis for education in our communities who say, you know what, hey, let me teach these young kids how to sell dope because I never knew what the fuck I was doing. And if you're smarter than me, you can read better than me. If you're forcing me to read, guess what? I'm gonna fight somebody because I am dealing with some internal issues because nobody in my family reads. Not me personally. I'm just telling you what people may be going through in life, right? Nobody in my family has a job. Everybody in my family was a hustler. My dad in and out of jail. Somebody may have been killed. You don't know what a child's situation is. It may happen in more black communities. Cool, but guess what? At the end of the day, we're all Americans. And I hate to say it. I thought talking to the homie earlier, between strings. You hope that it's not a 9/11 or some tragic event that happens to make people to say, you know what, cool. I don't care if you're black or white. We're humans together. We're Americans together. We're in this together. How are we surviving? That's all I hope. But either way, let's get back to the stream.
Statistics in the FBI.
You're just picking colors. I'm picking colors. I pick some colors from my wall.
Compared to last year, we're up 46%. The precise numbers right here. So it is a dire problem. It is an emergency. There is a clear and present danger to the good and law-abiding citizens of Washington, D.C., not just them, the tourists and all Americans, because this is a unique city.
We don't ignore black on black crime.
All Americans.
But nobody talks about
dangerous country.
White on white crime.
If this was
how many white families were impacted by DUIs last year? That's my answer. You want to talk about black on black crime? How many white families in America were impacted by DUI, GWIs, or lost a family member from a drunk driver last year? Let's talk about that. Because 80% of drunk drivers in America are Caucasian.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Ms. Tlaib.
Let's talk about
Michigan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. You know, I think it's really important. I mean, we're talking about, 700,000 people that live here, and I feel like their voice gets completely just dismissed. And so, if I may, Mr. Chair, ask unanimous consent to enter the record. The Washington
death is death. Crime is crime. That's all I'm saying. What's up, Roger?
Out of 8 in
crime
10
is crime, right?
Opposed Trump's.
A sin is a sin. Isn't that what the Bible says? Is a sin a sin?
And sending in federal troops.
Is theft the same as murder in the Bible?
I think it's also really important to understand, like, the incredible kind of slanderous, like, defamation. I don't know what you call it.
I get what you're saying.
They're just burying.
I get what you're saying, Joe, but at the end of the day,
speak about our nation.
There has to be a counter argument to the conversation that gets people to a counterpoint saying, you know what, how do we fix this? You can say I'm ignorant, I don't know what I'm talking about. I know more than most, but guess what? I know how to get a solution out of shit too. As a Democrat working in the Republican legislature, I know how to get solutions. So I just take my opinion, not as gold, but say, you know what, I'll match that with someone else's, and we can meet in the middle on a solution. That's all I'm saying. Make sure you like and subscribe for more.
And this really ugly picture that is not reflective. And I'm from Detroit. I've seen it happen.
In the Bible, it is. A sin is a sin, right?
In a way that I feel like.
And if you talk about theft, more 70% of burglaries happen by Caucasian people. So what are you talking about?
And every abuse of power that we let President Trump and the administration get away with in D.C., it will be replicated. It will be expanded across the country.
I would say squirrelism. You're right. It's a whataboutism because majority of people who talk about black crime don't even once see black people that much in their life. Respectfully, they may not even live in the inner city, right? And then 2. They never experienced the shit, and they don't know anybody who's experienced the shit. They're just talking out the narrative. Like I was in Texas the other day, and my Uber driver's telling me about how the migrants and everything, they shipped off to New York and California and Gavin Newsom and all the other shit. Okay, cool. You're just living the narrative. So it's all a whataboutism. It's true.
Health crisis that we continue to grow in, and it's
well,
not
it's
just
true,
this
Don.
Administration and the previous administrations as well. No one has moved with the urgency that is needed. Just last week, the committee
this is black fragility.
approved over a
This man
dozen
cannot
bills
look at
regarding
the failures of his community
Washington,
without
DC,
feeling
and,
offended.
I'm just.
Why should I look at the failures of my community and feel offended? I'm looking at the failures and I'm looking at the successes, but we're not counting the successes. We only want to focus on the failures. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you come on my chat, in my stream, and tell me that, Jasmine Crockett's pushing this, and it's black folks, there's black fragility, and somebody has a counter argument, all of a sudden it's not good enough. It's never good enough because you don't want to look at the negatives. What about the black community? What about rap music, how it impacts your community? What about rap music and how it's inspired entrepreneurs and not just Jay-Z? Talking about CEOs of Microsoft and shit, right? What are we talking about? We want to look at the negative and focus on the negative, but I'm not focused on the positive on the black man stream. That's what I'm saying. So all of a sudden, oh, he don't know what he's talking about. No. It's the fact of you just want an argument that agrees with what you feel about the black community. The black community is failing. What about the black community's success? And don't go back to 1940 unless you go read the statutes in 1940. What are we talking about? I don't want to hear that bullshit. Right? Y'all believe the Charlie Kirk shit, the Nick Fuentes shit to a point of saying, you know what, cool, the black community is a problem. I'm scared of the black people. I'm scared of white people if they're drunk. If they're drinking at happy hour now. What are we talking about? 80% of DUIs are by Caucasian people in America. The same stats that show the overpopulation of black people in America. And have you noticed, and I know you haven't realized it yet, have you noticed that, respectfully, Charlie Kirk didn't drink? Respectfully, no, fuck Nick Fuentes. Respectfully, no, fuck Nick Fuentes, my bad. He doesn't drink because they know the narrative that's out there, that there's an overpopulation of that. And yes, there's less of those and there are crimes and assaults, but guess what? It's an issue. You want to talk about the negatives, let's talk about the positives. Don't come and attack the black community. Oh, look at the fragility of that. You're not talking about anything. I'm not talking about Madam T.J. Walker or anything during Black History Month. And I'm not even talking, the first black neurosurgeon. You never want to highlight black success, but you want to sit here and talk negative about the failures of the black community, but you don't want to, there's not one good thing you have to say about black people? Is there not one good thing? I'm not even calling you racist. If there's not one good thing you have to say about black people, then what the fuck is the issue? Why are you still focused on the negative if that you can't find one? You can't find one. That's what I'm saying. It's always the same shit. Crime. Oh, you can't be, they're all black fragility. Well, shit. The fragility is you're dealing with the UI, motherfucker. I'm not fragile. It's a culture that I love. I'm black. I'm half Jamaican. And I grew up in a Jamaican household. And I don't have the struggles of feeling like a slave. I've never been a slave, so I don't feel like, oh, black America. No. It's the fact of y'all have nothing to talk about except the negative. There's nothing positive you want to say, like, hey, go off Kmart, Kanye. Appreciate you, Salty. I think you've been here before. I appreciate you. Either way, y'all taking y'all time to watch my stream. And guess what? I'm monetized. So you're taking time to boost up my channel, and I appreciate you. So guess what? Take accountability. What is accountability? What's accountability? Like, what is accountability? You want me to say, yes, black crime is an issue. And reading gains are an issue. We've had Al Sharpton leading the charge. He's a poverty pimp for black people, and he should have been focused on educating black kids instead of teaching them how to be criminals. That's what you want? Come on, man. Like, let's be for real. The same, if we're dealing with inner city crime, black on black crime, assault for what it is, well, we had an opioid epidemic. Let's deal with that too. It didn't just all come over Canada. You had little 15-year-old Johnny, selling it to the other white kids at school too. What are we talking about? We have issues in America. Let's deal with it. Either way, like and subscribe for more.
Is that what you think?
Something happening. I'm gonna rewind it.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say, but to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Let's go back, y'all.
And you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our nation's capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think it's insane that the gentlelady doesn't have an argument, but she's going to refer to me and some of my colleagues. We were from the Third Reich. This is insane. It's insane. It's insane.
Here we go.
It's insane. Do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you, Ms. Tlaib? Is that what I look like to you?
You're the one taking your voting card.
Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say, but to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
Byron Donalds, Doug, what's up?
That is not how it goes.
It's okay, right?
You hold yourself accountable before you talk about
Hold myself accountable. Hold your own self accountable. How about that?
Oh, shit.
I'm trying, Mr. How about that?
And make sure you vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to somebody else.
Oh, shit.
Chair recognizes Ms. Bobert from
Hey, we gotta run that
Order.
back.
Wait a minute, Ms. Bobert.
We gotta run that back, y'all.
Order.
I don't know what she said. We gotta run that back.
And federal troops.
Without objection to ordered.
We gotta run that
I
back,
think
chat.
it's also really important to understand, like, the incredible kind of slanderous, like, defamation. I don't know what to call it. They're just burying Washington, D.C. You just heard them speak about our nation's capital in that way. In a way that I feel very much like that's not what I see. I see people walking around with their families, people enjoying time to see these beautiful, incredible, beautiful monuments and everything. And there's a pride here too. And so I just want to bring the DC residents into this committee, because I feel like they are being made invisible. And this really ugly picture that is not reflective. And I'm from Detroit. I've seen it happen to my city. And it's despicable in a way that I feel like, really goes up against our values. One of the things that I know in every abuse of power that, we let President Trump and the administration get away with in DC, it will be replicated. It will be expanded across the country, and it is going to tear apart our communities. Mr. Jackson, I talked to you about a little bit about this, but I think it's important to understand that we do have a mental health crisis, that we have a housing crisis, affordability crisis. Can you police any of those away? No. You can't police away homelessness. And the way they talk about our homeless neighbors is so, no wonder there's violence increasing towards homeless neighbors. I see it already, the brutality of it. When we see housing costs go up, we see again subscribers, y'all run out of numbers, right? Of the mental health crisis that we continue to grow. And it's not just this administration, and the previous administrations as well. No one has moved with the urgency that is needed. Just last week, the committee approved over a dozen bills regarding Washington, D.C. And, I'm just curious. Criminalized children. My colleague from Boston talked about this. It basically interfered with legislation already passed by the local government. Was anyone on this panel consulted? Any of you? Raise your hand if you were consulted on any of these bills. Yeah.
We were not.
One of the things that, AG, I've been listening to you. One of the bills actually eliminates your position completely. What effect would that have? Completely eliminating your position in regards to be able to do the job that you do to protecting all the families.
It took a while for these fireworks to start, I'll tell you that.
Start with the fact that more than 70% of the residents of the District of Columbia overwhelmingly voted for having an independent elected attorney general.
That's right.
And that's a recognition of the fact that when an attorney general is directly accountable to the people, directly responsive to the people, we are much better at doing our job in terms of addressing housing affordability and conditions in slumlords, seniors and consumers who are being scammed, addressing the issues that are most important to DC residents, because I am accountable to them.
I read wage theft is an issue, workplace discrimination. There's a number of issues that need to be addressed, and they're not going to address that. They want to paint you all as this ugly, dark, all just out in the street. The way, it's just unbelievable because they all live here. I don't see it. I don't see what they see. I don't understand why we're allowing that to happen, because I actually think it's going to hurt our communities. People are going to look at Washington, D.C. folks in a way that I think is going to be very painful.
Well,
but
turned
also,
up after this.
I don't know, Mr. Jackson. I heard the stories. People didn't leave their homes. They weren't leaving their homes. Businesses didn't see people coming into. That's what we want in our nation's capital. Stay in your house. Don't move. Don't go anywhere. Stay fearful. It's unbelievable that my colleagues continue again to eject this narrative and this rhetoric in regards to it. But I think it's important, Mr. Chair, just like in D.C., home rule was won out of Black freedom struggle in the fight for civil rights. We can't be passive right now. So nobody over there should take anything we say so personally, as if we're attacking them. No, we're attacking a process. We're not attacking people here. And I think it's really important. We need to stand up against this fascist takeover. That's not a bad word. It's a fact. And here in D.C. and across the country, it is so incredibly important, Mr. Chair, that this committee does not allow rhetoric that defames or paints Washington, D.C. in a way that you all haven't really truly seen. You're just reading it. No, you're just reading it or something off of some.
Well, the gentlelady
yields to a question. Just like the chat today. They're reading about black crime, and all of a sudden, this ain't number one issue in the black people. Fuck it out of here.
Well, your time's expired.
It is expired, but Mr. Chair, but you all live here, and you're not telling people the beautiful parts that you do see in our nation's capital. And no, it's just wrong how we're doing it.
Chairman, I think it's an argument, but she's going to refer to me and some of my colleagues
Mr. Donald.
We were from the Third Reich. This is insane.
It's
insane.
It's
insane. It's insane. Do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you, Ms. Tlaib? Is that what I look like to you?
You're the one taking your voting card.
Is that what you think? Is that what you think? Is that what you think?
No, that's unethical.
I think it's radical and I think it's insane. And I'll respect everything that you say. But to say something like that to myself and a lot of my colleagues is way out of line. It's way out of line. It's way out of line.
Regular order, Mr.
Way out of line.
I think,
That's okay. But it's okay, right?
That is not how it
It's
goes.
okay, right?
You hold yourself
To be
accountable
fair.
before you talk about
Hold
Washington,
myself
D.C.
accountable.
Washington, D.C.
Hold your
out
own
of your
self
mouth.
accountable. How
Keep
about
it out of
that?
your mouth.
Hold your own
I'm
self
trying,
accountable.
Mr.
How about that?
Free D.C. and make sure you
right.
vote with your own voting card. Don't be giving it to
Ms.
somebody else.
Tlaib. All right, time.
he don't show up to work.
Chair recognizes Ms. Bobert from Colorado. Order. Wait a minute, Ms. Bobert. All right. Order. Ms. Bobert.
Thank you very
I'm
much,
gonna let Bobert go
Mr.
off.
Chairman. This has certainly been lively today.
They lit.
Madam Mayor,
They lit in the chat too,
being here
Congresswoman.
today, and I have a few questions for you. Do you believe in regard to crime, D.C. City Council is moving the district in the right direction or wrong
Yeah,
direction?
BD is a homie. Byron
The
is a
city
homie.
council and I are
Right or
working.
wrong direction?
Lakers fan from New York.
We're
Crazy
moving
shit ever.
in the right direction.
Now, okay. Why in 2023 did you veto the council's updates to the criminal code to eliminate most mandatory minimum sentences, reduce mandatory maximum penalties, and allow jury trials for misdemeanors?
Well, I made clear at the time my
All right, for
objections
government, he gotta get to that
the
primary
rewrite of
first,
the
though.
criminal code. The criminal code does
your
need to be
objection was this
updated.
bill does not make us safer. Is that correct?
That's what I believe.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor Bowser, as we know, City Council overruled your veto and the criminal code changes went into
salty,
effect
my friend, now?
2023. This same year,
Y'all
crime
some-
rates
y'all
rose
so full of
dramatically.
shit.
They overruled your veto, and then we saw crime rates rise dramatically. Do you believe that this bill contributed to the dramatic rise in crime that we saw in 2023 that's been mentioned here today as well by the council?
Well, the bill didn't go into effect, but I believe that it was necessary for us to look at our entire public safety ecosystem, not just that year, but previous years.
So you had some foresight that this could help.
Can't even answer the question.
And you said this bill does not
Same.
make us safer. The council overruled your veto. And at multiple events this year, you opposed National Guard deployments in Washington, D.C. However, since President Trump deployed the National Guard in D.C., violent crime has dropped nearly 50%.
Well, Ms. Bobert, may I?
One moment. I'll
Okay.
give you a chance to respond.
Chance.
Since President Trump deployed the National Guard in D.C., violent crime
Appreciate
has
you,
dropped nearly
Daniel.
50%.
Tapping in from
Property
overseas
crimes
in
like
Ireland.
burglary,
Thank you, brother.
vehicle theft dropped about 25%, and carjacking saw a dramatic 28% decline compared to the same period in 2024. Will you admit, Mayor Bowser, that President Trump bringing in the National Guard has helped clean up this district?
This is a gotcha
And if
question.
not,
I ain't never heard one
why
before.
have you let them stay here?
What kind of gotcha
indefinitely?
question is this? Portland and tapping in.
I have said is that the increase in federal law enforcement. National Guard is not law enforcement.
You've allowed them to stay here indefinitely, though.
The president controls
Salty, you
DC
here,
National
and it's not your
Guard,
first time here,
and
so you
he
love me.
reports to
You salty, nobody else. You salty. And I brushed my teeth this morning, so that bitch coming in minty. Love you, baby.
Increase once again?
Ms. Bobart, I put in place a mayor's order that is
I'm gonna do it full screen next time. Everybody getting the kiss next time. All you MAGA supporters, I love you.
Yes, ma'am.
And they include the FBI, the DEA, the ATF,
Yes, ma'am.
U.S.
Sorry, my time
Capitol
is short. I don't mean to
Police,
step
as
over
well
you.
as the United States
I
Secret
do want to
Service.
keep this respectful with you, and I don't mean to
Yes.
step over you. One more
Oh.
question, Mayor Bowser.
Oh.
Is cracking down on crime
Hey,
racist,
hey,
as many
Bobert,
of
they
your
was about to
Democrat
come after you,
colleagues
baby.
have suggested?
Our police department
Yes
has
or no,
been
is it racist, ma'am?
not in D.C.
Thank you, ma'am. Chairman Mendelson, you believe that cracking down on crime is racist, correct?
No.
No? Is that not what you said? You said bringing in large numbers of federal or National Guard troops can escalate tensions, particularly in minority neighborhoods. You also stated that federal deployments can disrupt daily life, disproportionately affect minority communities, and exacerbate racial tensions. So,
Are you asking about the National Guard or law
Not gay at
enforcement?
all, y'all.
I said federal or National Guard troops.
I do
And
think that-
we've seen police presence decrease under this council, and funding be redirected. So
That's false.
I really don't care to hear
That
how
is false.
pro-police you are, because I've seen those numbers decrease over the years and funding be stripped. And so with the
Peanut butter
National
ran
Guard,
somebody out of here earlier, man. Y'all better be careful fucking with peanut
it has
butter.
happened, and
We've
crime
not in
has
4 years.
increased.
What has happened in
Chairman
4 years
Mendelson,
is that
if I
we've
may,
not been reimbursed
so the
$83
federal
million by the
deployments
federal
can
government for
disrupt
police.
these things, and you said that they can exacerbate racial tensions. So is it racist to bring in?
Militarization is oppressive
Is it
to
racist?
neighborhoods.
Chairman?
No.
No. Okay, so are you redacting your statement and your
No.
position? It's,
Militarization is a problem. I did not say that was racist, but it is a problem.
Mr. Chairman, you said that it increases racist tensions. So I would say that you are characterizing that as racist.
What
bringing it
racist
in.
tensions?
Mr. Chairman, my time has expired.
Thank the lady from
Maybe-
Colorado. Chair recognizes Mr. Min from California.
Maybe people feel that way about some of the Trump stuff. But what raises tensions? Because when I go in the grocery store, white people still smile at me if I smile at them, even though I'm wearing a hoodie, right? Asian people, black people, like do we really have a race problem in America, or do we have a race narrative that's getting kind of played out? Let me know in chat.
Read, Mr. Chairman.
With intent to distribute and had a bribery charge.
Mr. Chairman, the
fund.
title's been read.
And yet that is a
Mr.
level
Chairman, the
of-
title's
All
been
you
read.
have
We're
to-
not reading the entire
Listen, sorry.
document.
All you have to do is say the title and the publisher. So without objection.
Mr. Chairman, and since the gentle lady is referring to me, I wonder if she would like to debate the actual topic.
Ooh, let's talk.
I'm more than prepared to debate the topic. I've been doing it my entire life.
Ooh, let's talk.
You voted illegally your entire life?
Would the lady yield the gentleman from Florida?
No, it's not a debate. It's an article that obviously you admit is about you, about how you were spared prison as a teen and now want to not allow other young
Actually,
people
for the
that
gentle
same
lady, let's be very
Wow.
clear. The article is wrong. The article is wrong, and I'm on the record stating that repeatedly. I've never been proud of what happened when I was 18 years old or 20 years old. I was wrong, and under the laws of the state of Florida, I was held accountable for that as an adult. So let's be very clear about what was written in that article, which is wrong. That does not coincide with the language that I passed off the House floor the other day. If you want to read articles and put them in the record, let's be clear about what
let's
they
go,
are.
BD.
Since I'm the only subject matter expert on that article, I would like to set the record straight right now.
Let's go, BD. Hey, he's a Lakers fan from New York. He could be the next governor. You gotta make it through that primary, my dog.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Hey, Byron. Oh, Jasmine next.
It was not about me.
Okay,
but
Chair
it was
About to go down. Oh, shit.
unanimous
Mr.
consent,
Chairman,
which is not
Oh,
debatable.
shit.
Chairman, I'm prepared to take on all calls.
Oh, shit.
So I
If
entertain it.
somebody tries to put
Oh,
an article
shit.
in about you, and I read it to you,
Y'all want to
and we
talk
haven't
about
put
my
it in.
private school, honey.
If somebody does, you can defend yourself. Mr. Min.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I want to be clear, though,
Hey,
this
this is
committee
politics, baby.
continues to fail to conduct oversight on the most important issues that my constituents care about, whether it's the allegations of chronic and extreme law-breaking by ICE, the politicization of the DOJ, FCC, and other executive branch offices to go after Trump's critics, the repeated attacks on Congress's Article I authorities, including the illegal taxation of goods imported into the United States, tariffs, or the illegal withholding of funds appropriated by Congress, AKA impoundments, and on and on and on. And incredibly, virtually the entire Republican caucus has refused to sign the discharge petition to release the entire Epstein files. Earlier this year, GOP leadership recessed early, hoping that the Massey-Khanna discharge petition would fade away. But that is not going to happen. We're going to keep fighting. We're now one vote shy of the 218
Would the gentleman
needed.
yield to a question?
Four
from the
Republicans,
no,
including
man.
3 on this committee, have been brave enough to sign
This
that
is
petition.
politics.
Meanwhile, the rest of the
Listen,
conference
Bill.
continues to stay silent.
I was talking last time and some beef popped off with Byron Donaldson, man, in Talib. We are in a gang war right now. Make sure y'all like and subscribe. Share the stream, too. Oh my God.
Than the discharge petition. And
That's my kind of violence. Fuck that street shit.
False narrative.
I slap the shit out you if you try me. But fuck that street shit. This is my kind of violence. Let's have a oratorical conversation and have some points and get to the valid
It is a proceeding
points that really impact
and
America.
the discharge petition, as I understand it, would require the entire release of the Epstein files. They're not
Both sides lie,
inconsistent with
bro.
each other. And
then it has to go to the Senate.
Both sides lie,
Just
dog.
wait? You just want us to just drop everything in the Epstein and
I don't
wait
understand
for
why
the
the
Senate?
Oversight Committee can't do oversight while also signing on to the discharge petition. Because we are asking for piecemeal items from the FBI and DOJ. We are not asking, as I understand it, for the
We've
entire
asked for
Epstein
everything. We've asked for everything. Now, I'll yield back to your time.
And if I could have a little more time, I'd appreciate it. I urge my colleagues to fulfill our constitutional responsibilities and to do right by the survivors and sign on to that. And respectfully, Mr. Chair, I would urge you to consider that as well. But I want to turn to today's hearing because I believe this is largely political theater meant to distract us from the fact that Donald Trump is illegally deploying thousands of military troops in the streets of Washington, D.C., following on his illegal deployment of military personnel in Los Angeles. And now he's threatening to deploy the military in cities like Chicago, New York, and Portland over the objections of the local mayors and governors. Now, as a reminder, state governors have broad latitude to call up their National Guard, but the president's authority is very limited, and it is limited under Title X authority, which is expressly limited to 3 circumstances. 1, when the United States is invaded or in danger of invasion by a foreign nation. 2, there's a rebellion or danger of a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. Or 3, the president is unable with regular forces to execute the laws of the United States. So I want to ask you all to raise your hands if you agree with the following question. Do you believe the United States is being invaded? I want to know for the record there are no hands raised. Do you believe there's a rebellion happening?
No.
Again, no hands raised. Do you believe the president is unable to execute the laws of the United States without the National Guard?
No.
No hands raised. That's right. Donald Trump, ironically, is using a trumped-up crisis over crime to break the law.
Will the gentleman yield?
No. In January
didn't ask
2024,
us
a
this
group
last
called
year.
United to Protect Democracy published a report entitled The
said
Authoritarian
no.
Playbook for 2025, which
It's not
warned
even in Congress.
explicitly that if Trump were elected, he would likely follow the same playbook used by authoritarians like Vladimir Putin in Russia, Recep Erdogan in Turkey, Viktor Orban in Hungary, and others. It outlines a number of actions they expected President Trump to take during his second term. So I want you to raise your hand if you think the Trump administration is doing the following. Issuing pardons to licensed lawbreaking.
Yes.
Raise your hands if you agree with that. Directing investigations against critics and rivals.
Yes.
Regulatory retaliation.
Yes.
Federal law enforcement overreach.
Yes.
Domestic deployment of the military.
Yes.
It probably won't surprise you to know that as this is exactly what these authors predicted Trump would take as far as actions if he were elected to second term. But one ironclad rule that is still potentially being forced is the Posse Comitatus Act, which clearly prohibits the use of military personnel, including the National Guard, for law enforcement activities unless specifically authorized by Congress, such as with the Insurrection Act. Now, I've actually asked a lot of the National Guardsmen here that I've run into on the streets whether they are allowed to assist with law enforcement, and they've consistently told me that the answer is no. I asked a Guardsman just earlier today what would happen if he saw crime happening right in front of him. He said he could take pictures, videos, he could call the cops, but he is not allowed to engage. So I'm really appreciative of those who serve in our National Guard, and I'm really, really appreciative that, unlike Donald Trump, they are following the law. But this is also just massively wasteful and disrespectful to our National Guardsmen who have been pulled from their families, their jobs, and their communities, all to essentially serve as human scarecrows, or even worse, to clean up our streets and do our landscaping. Yeah. This is not what our Guardsmen were trained to do. It's not what they are signing up to do. It's also massively expensive. President Trump's deployment of the National Guard and Marines to Los Angeles cost over $120 million. The D.C. National Guard's deployment of 958 Guardsmen will cost over $200 million. And while we don't know yet what the deployment of the 1,300-plus other Guardsmen sent from other states will cost, it's likely to be much higher because we're paying for their lodging as well. So basically, we're looking at a deployment cost of over $500 million for this D.C. deployment, which is doing nothing to stop crime. You could hire thousands of cops with that money. So, Mayor Bowser, I want to ask you a question. What would be more effective in deterring and preventing crime? Deploying over 2,000 National Guardsmen at a cost of hundreds of millions of dollars, or sending that money to D.C. for additional law enforcement and crime prevention programs?
And the gentleman's time's expired, but the mayor can answer the question.
I think you took up about a minute of my time, though, sir.
No, we stopped the clock. I watched.
No, you didn't, actually.
We stopped it.
It didn't stop.
We stopped it.
I would say sending the money to DC, restoring our 2025 approved budget as a start would also help. Additionally, we can do more than law enforcement. We can also assist the federal government with their parks.
I appreciate that answer, and I would just close by saying this. If Trump were serious about stopping crime, he would send greater resources to local law enforcement and try to tackle the root causes. Instead, he's illegally sending troops into our cities, even as he's pardoning criminals, defunding the FBI, and reallocating our scarce federal resources to going after nonviolent offenders. This makes, like day laborers, children, this is making our communities more dangerous, not more safe.
Chair recognizes Florida's favorite son, Mr. Donalds.
And I'd like to, with unanimous consent, introduce this article titled...
I've already recognized Mr. Donalds. You can do it in a minute. Mr. Donalds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been a very interesting hearing for a myriad of reasons.
Let's go.
Mayor Bowser, thanks for being here with us. I do appreciate you taking the time today. It was said earlier that in 1973, Congress did pass the D.C. Home Rule Act. It is known on Capitol Hill, is known, quite frankly, through our entire constitutional republic, that any Congress cannot bind a future Congress. Just like at the state level, a legislature cannot bind a future legislature. That something that is enacted can be modified or undone in the future. I was able to have a conversation with a lot of the people from the Free DC organization. Some of them might still be in the room today. And that was the constant point that we came back to. That yes, under the law passed in 1973, your position was created, the DC City Council's position was created, but the ultimate authority for the federal district is still the United States Congress, and with the signature of the President of the United States. Would you agree with that assessment?
I would agree. And I would also add it's within the power of this Congress to advance the DC statehood bill. By simple majority, this Congress can, like it has done for every state in the union outside of the first 13, admit DC as a state.
I'm glad you actually brought that up, because one of the reasons why I opposed the D.C. statehood bill is because the Constitution and the framers were actually quite clear that they did not want the federal district per se to be leveraged by a state or any state. And I think I had conversations with several residents of D.C. who were walking through the halls of Capitol Hill when then Speaker Pelosi...
Don't believe that or not.
And I asked them two very important questions. If you want to have representation, why don't we allow that property to be re-annexed by the state of Maryland, which actually provided the land for the federal district to be created? Or would the citizens of the District of Columbia prefer not to be subject to federal income taxes as a result of them not having, quote unquote, representation? What's your thought on that?
I do think it's time to talk about what the district pays and what we get back. I do think it's time to have that conversation.
And that's a fair conversation to have. I got a couple questions for you. Let's get to the business of the matter. Since President Trump authorized the National Guard to be in D.C., how much has crime decreased in the District of Columbia?
I think it's important, and I've noticed that this has happened throughout this conversation, that you talk about the National Guard and you don't talk about federal law enforcement. And the federal surge consisted of federal law enforcement, which MPD works with all the time. I'm talking about the FBI, the DEA.
Mayor Bowser, I'm really not trying to disrespect you, but how much has crime decreased?
I mentioned already and let me look at my numbers, that the federal surge produced a 39% decrease in violent crime.
39% decrease in violent crime in the nation's capital.
Let me just add, that's on top of the 6% decrease that we were already experiencing.
So it seems that the president's surge was more effective than your own efforts. What did you say?
It accelerated.
Last time I checked, 39% is way higher than 26%. But let me move on.
But the full statistic is a little different.
Chairman Mendelson, I didn't ask you a question.
I know,
Relax,
but the full statistic is a little different.
Actually, Chairman, let me ask you this question, because you butted in. Now let me ask you.
Oh, here we go.
What is the current status of the Metropolitan Police Department in terms of staffing? How many officers do you have on the beat?
I believe it's less than 3,100.
Okay. Is the MPD fully staffed?
In my view, no.
Question. Hold that point. Here's the question. So is a surge of federal law enforcement into the federal enclave, which the mayor has acknowledged is the primary responsibility of the federal government, isn't it simple logic to say that the president's surge has been helpful to safety and security in the District of Columbia, Chairman?
The additional law enforcement resources has been good. We work with those different agencies all the time. There was more of it, more of a good thing. National
The
Guard
same
is
question
separate.
30 times
ICE
today.
is separate.
Question for you, Chairman. You just said you said something I want to expound. You've been working with the federal government during this surge
And before.
that was brought by President Trump and before.
And before.
So you've been working with him through this entire time.
With the federal, like DEA, FBI, MPS Park Police.
Mayor
yes.
Bowser, you would concur that you guys have been working with the President of the United States throughout this entire period, correct?
Mr. Donalds, you know I work with every president.
I know, but
including
I'm
President
trying to
Trump,
establish a
in
baseline.
Trump 1 and in Trump 2.
And I thank you for that, Mayor
Yes,
Bowser.
that is our job.
I'm trying to
As
establish.
do all of we all stand ready to work with. We're unique. The District of Columbia is unique in
Mayor
that
Bowser,
we're always going to have
Mayor
a
Bowser, I'm out of
relationship
time, so I got to
with-
reclaim.
Sorry,
I
sorry.
apologize.
Yep.
I agree, Mayor Bowser.
Yes.
The district is unique. The district is not like any other city in the United States. It is the federal enclave. I commend you and your team for working with the President of the United States to keep the district safe. I really do. I think it's important for a lot of people who are saying that they're upset with the President, that your own mayor and your own chairman of the city council has acknowledged that crime has gone down while working with the President. Let's work together. Let's give peace a chance. I yield back.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Donald. Mr. Min, I'll recognize you now for your.
I ask unanimous consent to introduce into the record an article from the USA Today entitled DC National Guard Deployment to Cost $200 million, as soldiers pick up trash, blow leaves.
Without objection to ordered.
Mr. Chairman, I actually have a point of personal privilege.
Yes, state your point.
It was raised earlier in an article about me, so let's just get to it.
I thought we did this already.
No, well, we're doing it again because your name was not raised, so now we get to do it twice. Thank you.
No.
He's being recognized for a
It's game time.
Point of
Okay,
personal
well,
privilege.
we gonna need
Thank
one
you
too.
very much.
Let's go.
I don't think it's really personal for you, madam. Let's be clear about a couple of things. Yes, when I was 18 and 20, I was arrested twice. I was. I made a lot of mistakes when I was young. I've admitted them. I've had to live with them my entire life. Every day since the age of 21, I've had to purpose myself to be a better man than I was the day before. That is something that was afforded to me by the laws of the state of Florida. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. And now I'm here in the nation's capital doing my job. In Florida, when I got into my trouble, I was not tried as a juvenile. I was tried as an adult because I was an adult. And since that point in time, I have worked, whether it's at the state level or here at the federal level, to make sure that our criminal justice policies and systems actually make sense and they are built to secure and protect the citizens that we all serve. That's a mission I've been on ever since.
Will the gentleman
I was 21.
yield?
I'm not going to yield because it's a personal point of privilege. It's not for you.
I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to clarify something.
So I'm just, for the points, for the record, I wanted to make that point be clear. Yes, I'm the author of the DC Crimes Act. Yes, I believe that adults over the age of 18
Mr.
should be
Chairman,
held
this
accountable
is not
as
a
adults.
campaign ad
And so,
for the gentleman's governor.
this is not a campaign ad. I'm stating it for the record because it was raised by the gentle lady. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name. I know you're a freshman member of the House, and I've never had a chance to meet you, but it was raised, so I wanted to provide a response because my name was brought up in an article submitted for the record. I think
Point
I'm
of
done now.
information.
I yield.
Point of information.
State your point.
The gentleman from Florida just referenced the bill that he authored, and I just want to clarify, is the chair aware as to whether or not under current DC law, it allows the Attorney General,
That's not a point of information.
okay, well, it's a question.
Well,
Point of inquiry.
I mean,
We gonna do an
we
inquiry.
can talk about it later.
We'll do an inquiry. I am trying to clarify.
Let's go.
It's not a. part
Hey,
of
hold on now.
All right, Chair
Hey,
recognizes.
hey, I feel you, JC.
Okay.
Congresswoman JC.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to say, but we all know why you've called this hearing. This is one more attempt to cover for the Trump White House, which is
Hey, they say, you know Byron running for governor, right? And it's so funny. They say, hold on, we ain't giving you no point of privilege so you can have something that you can run a campaign out with. Fuck that. He said, fuck that, dog. No, we ain't giving you this no campaign style, bro. We know exactly what you're doing. It's black on black crime. Politics. Like hip hop, loving hip hop.
rates, at least in the District of Columbia, are at a 30-year low.
Oh, that
This
shit's
is very
hilarious.
obviously a blatant and egregious attempt to redirect attention from a very real and ongoing crime. The crime, which is the massive and epic cover-up for Jeffrey Epstein's abuse and that of other rich and powerful men who engaged with and supported him over the course of decades. Some of those very men are in the White House right now. Donald Trump wants so badly for the Epstein story to go away. Trump sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion for reporting about this letter. Not surprising, as we are seeing what's happening now with the alarming authoritarian attacks on the free press. This was one of many examples, but he claimed this letter didn't exist. Here it is. This grotesque, disgusting, misogynistic letter which Donald Trump sent to Jeffrey Epstein. He probably laughed. He probably thought this
We're gonna release Epstein files talking about black on black crime.
About the abuse of literally thousands of underage girls at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and his powerful rich friends. And then lying about it repeatedly to this day. Why? Why lie about it? Donald Trump now claims this isn't his handwriting, which is a comical excuse, and House Republicans are covering for him. Why are House Republicans covering for Donald Trump?
You know, they the same way the Democrats capped for Clinton during the Lewinsky scandal. What are we talking about, man? Let's be for real.
From the very real national issues at hand. These are the people that Trump and House Republicans are covering for. Trump's Department of Justice moved Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's right-hand accomplice in the sexual abuse of underage girls, to a minimum security prison, all to buy her silence. You know, Donald Trump sent his former personal defense attorney, who's now the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, to sit down with Ghislaine Maxwell and to transcribe her remarks word for word, releasing this liar's version of the truth to the world. Why would the Trump Department of Justice endorse a convicted liar, Ghislaine Maxwell's version of the truth? Many of us here in this room actually sat with the victims, the survivors of Epstein, and they were understandably shaken and livid by the fact that a convicted child sex abuser and trafficker was given such a massive platform to continue to spread her lies. Donald Trump did that. Trump's DOJ did that. When FBI Director Kash Patel was asked about it in the Senate, he said he had no idea why she was moved to a minimum security prison. Don't House Republicans have any interest in investigating
get some
that?
water.
No? They don't care? Instead, they want answers to the
My
really
MAGA
important
supporter still here?
questions
What my
how
dog
many
is? Salty, you
trash
still here?
bags did the National Guard pick up today? Or how many traffic tickets have been given out in D.C. this week? Or how many drunk college students needed to have the National Guard call them over
Change
so
your
they could get
battery.
home?
Change your battery,
These
you
are the tough
invert,
questions
you
that House Republicans want
KNEE,
answers to. So let's just be very clear. The biggest criminal in Washington, D.C., the criminal who was besties with Jeffrey Epstein and was already found liable of sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll, the criminal who should be invested not only for
that bitch say vote here out. Crockett is pathetic. Vote here out. Bitch, if you don't learn how to spell,
John Trump.
Don't be coming here talking shit about people if you don't know how to spell, bro.
Who instructed the Bureau of Prisons
Make
to
this full
move
screen
Ghislaine
for
Maxwell?
wrong with you?
What did the Trump administration promise her to remain silent? Why is FBI Director Patel claiming that no other men victimize underage girls and women through the sex trafficking operation organized by Epstein and Maxwell?
Oh, it's like Crawford. I got you. I know it's. I was supposed to say like Brian Oside. You was on site. Like I couldn't read.
Did House Republicans?
She need to be protected. Yeah, hey, she need to be protected. If I wasn't married, I'd flirt with my dog. I'd be dropping some flirtation shit every time she talked, but guess what? I can't do it. I'm married. My wife's gonna look at me crazy. Like, how you flirt with this congressman like that? Like, bro, it's a joke,
He could do
dog.
literally at any moment.
It's a joke, dog.
Unfortunately, we will have to continue to wait to get these answers. Also, Republicans can find out how many stray cats need to be dealt with on the streets of Washington, D.C. I yield back.
Chair recognizes Mr. Burchett from Tennessee.
The House floor the other day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it needs to be said that the Democrats had those files for 4 years and chose not to do anything with them, and now currently they're obsessed with it. I think that speaks volumes. But thank you all for being here, Mayor. Thank you, ma'am. I was a county mayor. It was the best job I think I've ever had.
Thank you.
And on days like today, I'm sure you're thinking, dadgum, I wished I hadn't run for this office. Should have sold Amway or something. But anyway, I have a couple questions for you, ma'am. President Trump's response to the spike in violent crime in Washington, D.C. lowered the rate of violent crime?
I have already testified to the period of 30 to 34 days. We saw a decrease on top of the decreases that we are experiencing already this year.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. But when you're the 435th most powerful member of Congress, I have to ask those questions again.
Yes.
So just act like you've never heard that, and I deserve a Pulitzer Prize for my questioning. Have the criminal justice policies created by the D.C. City Council led to the spike in violent crime in Washington, D.C.?
In my experience, Congressman, there is not one single thing that you point to when crime goes up, and it's usually not one single thing you point to when crime goes down. So my experience as mayor and as a member of the council before that is to throw everything at it. We look at the laws, we look at our deployment strategies, we look at our prevention strategies until we see results. And that's what we've seen over the last 2 years.
Thank you, ma'am. Why is your, Mr. Mendelson, why does your council continue to push these soft on crime policies when violent crime apparently has skyrocketed in Washington, D.C. as a result?
Well, I don't agree that we have done that. In fact, in my statement at the beginning, I noted a number of changes to the law that the council.
Yes, sir. I mean, well, yesterday, though, we stepped in and have changed a couple of those laws that we felt like proved that y'all were soft on crime.
One of those was the age of 14. That actually was adopted by Congress in 1970.
Okay. What about the one where they're not allowed to chase someone who has stolen a car?
We revised that law, I believe it was last year.
Yet we had to.
When I say revised it, there were complaints we were hearing from the police chief, and we made changes to that law.
Okay. In your statement regarding oversight efforts, you stated that these bills were a completely unnecessary intrusion on the district's ability to make and enforce our laws because of the recent work that council has been doing to combat crime. Are you aware that juvenile crime in Washington, D.C. has increased every year since 2020?
I don't believe that's correct, but the data, the Attorney General would have the exact data. But I will say that juveniles should not be involved in crime. And that should be the goal of any society, of any community, and that's our goal. We do not want juveniles involved in crime. We want them in school, we want them learning, we want them to have every opportunity to achieve as an adult.
Okay. In 2021, Mayor Bowser requested $11 million for additional funding for police officers. In response, you and your colleagues on the D.C. City Council proposed a compromise package that would appropriate $5 million to police officers and various amounts to gun safety initiatives because, as quoted, because the solution can't solely be more police. Why have you consistently tried to impede the work and support systems for police officers?
Well, we haven't consistently. So that is true about 2020 in 2020 for the FY21 budget. Every year since then, we have fully funded the request for MPD, for hiring officers and for paying officers. Just yesterday, we adopted a 13% pay raise for police officers. So I don't agree that consistently. I would also note MPD has a budget of about $500 million. I think it's actually more than that now. So when you talk about $5 million, I don't think that's even 1%. That's 0.1%. But that was 5 years ago.
But you'd gladly turn that money back in then?
Well, in my testimony earlier, I noted that we've been asking the federal government every year for reimbursement through the appropriation process for the EPSF, and that the Congress has shorted us a total of $83 million over the last 4 years. So you can ask me about $5 million.
Over the last, how many years?
4.
4 years, okay, that'd be during the Biden administration. General Schwab, did I say that right, Schwab? You said kids should not be treated as adults. At what age does a kid become an adult?
Under our law, children are considered juveniles until they're 18.
Okay, thank you. And I'm out of time. Again, thank y'all for being here, Mayor.
Thank you.
Pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett from Texas.
Okay, I'm gonna try to go really fast because I got a lot to cover. So I'm starting with the AG. I want you to tell me whether or not it's lawful or lawless ignoring court orders,
That's lawless.
impounding congressional funds,
Violates the law.
invoking emergency powers when there is no emergency,
Unlawful.
sending troops without an invite,
Violates the law.
covering for pedophiles. I just threw that one in there. Okay, I'll move to the next one. What about revoking birthright citizenship?
Violates the 14th Amendment of the Constitution.
How about violating due process?
Violates the 5th and 14th Amendment of the Constitution.
How about what we see happening with redistricting that would in some way minimize, if not delete, the voices of people of color as they are going through and illegally going through this process? Is there a constitutional amendment that you can think of that is associated with that?
Probably many, but it is unlawful and unconstitutional and un-American.
Thank you. As well as, can you tell me if it is lawful or lawless to violate free speech?
That's lawless.
Okay, sounds about right, because, you know, we had to have a conversation about Jimmy Kimmel, so I'm going to say free Jimmy Kimmel for sure, and hopefully we will deal with the FCC chairman. But the reason that I wanted to go through that long list, and that was actually not even the half of it, is because since this administration has come in on January 20th, they have engaged in some form of every single thing that I said on that list, even the part about covering for pedophiles. So my question is, why are we sitting here today? Number one, they already passed their bootleg laws, and it's clear that even the bill author is not well informed about what his bill does. Because as has already been stated, at the age of 18, you are an adult. So this idea that somehow 21-year-olds were now somehow juveniles under DC law, is that accurate or inaccurate?
It was inaccurate, misunderstood the way the law works.
Correct. Could not understand how to read the law and decided that they were going to rewrite the law and mess up the law. And to be clear, we were talking about judges being able to have enough discretion to decide whether or not they were going to give someone an opportunity maybe to clean their record, such as the bill author was given that opportunity under Florida law because his second felony was picked up when he was 21, to be clear. So he was older than 18, and under this law, if you were under, 25, so 24 or under, then the judges had discretion, correct?
But only in certain kinds of cases, not the most serious cases. And in fact, that discretion was, as we know, exercised very rarely. And it would have been an opportunity had Congress wanted to talk with the folks who are involved in applying that law and seeing how it works, to understand that this is not a law that's out of sync with other states, and it's working.
Thank you so much. And the reason that it matters is because now the gentleman from Florida is trying to become a governor, and chances are maybe DC, once they get statehood, could have had a future governor that had a second chance. But since they don't want other people to have chances that they've been given, they want to just pretend like they are bigger and better and badder than. So I will move on because I am frustrated
dog too, but damn, Jasmine, get JC up one.
We know that this administration can't take care of their own business. As we know, they recently illegally bombed yet another Venezuelan boat, and we may be headed for a war. We know that this particular president has decided that he wants to shake down people as relates to the First Amendment because he has filed not one lawsuit, not two lawsuits, but he has filed numerous lawsuits. He filed a lawsuit against the New York Times. He filed one against the Wall Street Journal, against CBS, against ABC, against the Des Moines Register.
He's won some of those now.
Because he wants to quash any speech that is not appreciative or lauding him, which is pretty much anything that's factual. So let's talk a few facts about these January 6 felons that should still be incarcerated because they went through the process, but because they were doing things on his behalf, of course he wanted to let them go. So they released more than 1,000 people who participated in the insurrection on this government, many of whom who had previous criminal records, like Mr. Theodore Mendenforth, who was convicted of predatory criminal sexual assault of a child, or Mr. Peter Schwartz, who had
I didn't even want that. My bad.
He beat his wife by repeatedly punching and biting her. Trump also pardoned Mr. David Daniel, who was convicted convicted of production and possession of child pornography. Trump also pardoned Mr. Daniel Ball, who, quote, threw an explosive device that detonated upon at least 25 officers during the Capitol riot. He also had a record for, quote, domestic violence by strangulation. I'm not done. Trump also pardoned Mr. Andrew Taki, who sent news to an undercover law enforcement officer who was posing as a 15-year-old girl. Mr. Casey Hopkins also received a pardon from Trump. And Mr. Hopkins was convicted of forcible rape. According to court records, he had forcible intercourse with the victim, choked her to the point of impairing her vision, banged her head into a wall, and urinated into the victim's mouth as he humiliated her. These are the people that he decided to release in the streets of D.C. So if anybody does need to clean up D.C., I would agree it is this man, because he is the one that is causing half the crime that we have. Not only is he participating in the crime, but we know that he instigated the insurrection. And if I did say that I had one issue with the Biden-Harris administration, it is the fact that they did not move forward and make sure that this man was put where he should have been put. Because the last time I checked as a criminal defense attorney, and Mr. Attorney General, you may have a different experience, but I never had a defendant that had 34 convictions for felonies and did not spend one day in jail. Never in my life. And the last time I checked, the party of law and order is the only one that decided that they would be out of order and decided to nominate someone who was not only indicted, but was actually convicted of multiple felonies. That has never happened in this country, and it is a shame that we are dealing with it now, and now he wants to tell y'all how to do your jobs.
Okay.
I
thought you were going to say when you had one problem with the Bidens, I thought it was going to be on the pardons.
Hold on. I'm just shocked that she went so hard.
Okay. All right. Okay.
My God.
Chair recognizes Mr. Gill from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding this hearing. And I'd also like to thank the witnesses
Oh
for taking
my
time
God.
To be here today. I know y'all
Hey, make sure you like and subscribe.
Appreciate it.
My bad on switching up.
Thank you.
I thought my hockey was set.
Here. You've been mayor for about 10 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. And
Mayor
during
for
that
10
time,
years.
would you describe D.C. as a safe city?
Yes.
You would?
Listen, Mr. Gill, and it was brought up earlier by the Congresswoman from
The murder
Detroit.
rate in Washington, D.C. is the 4th highest of any city in the
I
country. Would you
I
describe
have
that
heard,
as safe?
I have heard every statistic and factoid, and they're all different about where
Are you
our city.
disputing
No,
that Washington, D.C. is the 4th highest murder rate in the country?
I'm not familiar with that statistic.
You're not familiar with that
What I know,
statistic.
Mr.
This is your
Gill,
city.
Mr. Gill,
Respectfully,
excuse
this
me.
is your city.
Respectfully, I know that we have driven our murder rate down.
What was the homicide rate in 2014 before you were elected?
I don't know.
Do you know how much the homicide rate has changed during your tenure as mayor?
I do.
How much?
It has gone up.
It's gone up
and
by
it is
about
going
70%.
down.
It's gone up by about 70% from
I don't think that's
2014 to
correct. I don't think that's
2024. Those are
correct.
from the Metropolitan Police Department.
I
That
don't
is
think that
correct.
number is correct.
You should know the crime
Yeah, and
statistics for your own
I
city,
do
especially
know my
whenever
crime
it's this
statistics.
dangerous. Do you know how carjackings have trended during your time in office?
I know that they have gone down.
They're up over 500% since from 2014 to 2024. That's not a safe city. I don't think any person would call that a safe city. We'll move on. Do you agree that defunding the police makes our communities less safe, don't you?
This is what I want to say.
It's a straightforward question.
Yeah.
You're not going to filibuster. Do you think
answer.
that defunding the police
This
makes
is
our
my
communities
answer.
less safe?
What I know is that people have moved here. People have sent their kids here. People have started businesses here. We have record.
Does
we have
defunding the
record
police make our
visitation,
communities
and
more
so
or less safe?
those are the indications
Does defunding the police
of
make
a
our
city
communities
where
more
people
or
want
less
to
safe?
live, work, and
You
visit.
won't even
She
back
ain't
your own
fucking
police
off with y'all.
department
Tired now.
I'm asking you, does defunding the police make our communities more or less safe? And you won't give me a straight answer.
I've already answered that today.
And why don't you tell me again, do you think that defunding the police makes
What
our
do you think you're
communities
talking
more or
about?
less safe?
I've never defunded the police, nor would I.
You think it makes our communities less safe, is that correct?
I just told you, I've never defunded the police, and
I
I never
understand
would.
that. You know, you may not have defunded the police, and that's a good thing, but you did provide a $125,000 grant to an organization lobbying to defund the police. Are you aware of that?
What is that you just raised?
It's an organization called HIPS that you provided just this year, fiscal year 2025. $125,000 grant to.
I
This
think
is
we
them
funded
lobbying to
them to
defund the
do public
police.
health work.
Quote, "It's time we shifted to a society free of police and systems of incarceration."
We fund them for public health work.
For public health?
Yes.
Does this make our communities more healthful? By defunding our
we
police?
fund them for public
Do you
health.
think defunding our police and lobbying to defund our police and undermine local
I've
law
answered that
enforcement
question.
makes our communities more safe?
I've answered
or
that
helpful?
question.
See, come on, man.
Do you think that providing tax dollars to an organization who wants to defund our police is good for the residents of Washington, D.C.?
We wouldn't fund them for that purpose. We would
But you
fund them.
funded them, and you
we-
chose to give them money. You gave them hard-working tax dollars to an organization that wants to defund the police.
We fund them for public health.
Do you think that giving
Dog,
housing, free housing to illegal aliens is an appropriate use of tax dollars?
We think if it keeps people off the streets, then we have to keep people off the streets.
You agree with giving your residents tax dollars and using them to give subsidized housing for illegal aliens?
But Mr. Gill, we also didn't agree with the governor of Texas or Arizona busing people, tricking them
here
to
we
come
go.
to our city.
And
we didn't agree with that
surprising
either.
to me because you're also funding NGOs that support free housing for illegal aliens.
And I hope you
And
would
they're lobbying
agree
for
that
You're
other
using tax
governors
dollars
shouldn't
to provide-
send people on
provide
buses
NGOs
that don't
that are
have any
lobbying to
housing
give
to our
free-
city.
Free housing
Damn,
for
she's
illegal
snapping. Let's
aliens
go.
in your city.
You gotta
That
respect
makes your
that.
city less safe. I want to move on. In May of 2024.
So let's be very clear.
And
what's
this
written
was
in that?
referenced earlier, there were some major pro-Palestinian protests and sit-ins at George Washington University. This was during final exam season. They were terrorizing Jewish students. They were doing it for weeks. It was a major problem. The police were called in and you stopped them from doing their job. Why is that?
I didn't stop the police from doing anything.
It is illegal for them to block a roadway. We've got the law right here. It's unlawful for a person, alone or in concert with others, to obstruct or incommode any street avenue. That's exactly what they were doing, and you refused to allow police to clear them out. Why is that?
That's incorrect.
Why would you stop? Clear the record then.
I never stopped the police.
You didn't stop them.
No, I did not.
You didn't stop them. Would you like to explain what happened? Why police never cleared out this roadway?
Police did clear roadways.
They were there for weeks.
Police cleared roadways.
They were there for weeks,
Actually,
terrorizing Jewish
they were
students, and this was
probably
in
on
your city.
private property, not on the roadway.
No, they were on public roadways.
No, they weren't.
Terrorizing Jewish students,
they
and you
weren't.
allowed it to happen.
No,
I
they
yield
weren't.
my time back.
No, they weren't.
Gentleman's time's expired.
What I missed, chat?
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, I'm gonna give you time.
I'm editing my next TikTok. Make sure y'all follow me on TikTok and post on Instagram as well. I got better numbers on
All
Instagram.
right, I'm gonna recognize the
yesterday.
ranking member for
About 200,000 views type shit.
consent request.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I request unanimous consent to enter into the record this August 19th, 2025 article from the American Prospect titled, "The GOP states with guards deployed to D.C. have urban murder rates way higher than D.C.'s."
Without objection, to ordered.
I'd also ask unanimous consent to enter into the record this February 28th, 2024 study from Third Way titled "The 21st Century Red State Murder Crisis," which lays out the decades-long problem with high murder rates in red states and undermines the Republican myth that crime is their strong point.
Without objection, to ordered.
And my final one is from Newsweek, but I don't know the date right now. But this goes to what the gentleman was just talking about when he said that D.C. has the 5th highest homicide rate in the country. According to Freedom for All Americans 2024 data, D.C. is not on this list at all. It starts with St. Louis, and number 10 is Chicago.
Without objection, so ordered. So in closing, I want to thank our witnesses for being here today. I know it was a very long hearing, but this is an issue that America's watching. This is America's city. This is the capital city. We want it to be safe. Many of us spend at least half our waking hours here in Washington, D.C. So even though it's not our official residence, we spend a lot of time here. Many of us spend more time than here than in certain parts of our district. So I want to yield to the ranking member, Ms. Crockett, for a brief closing statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to my colleagues for their questions and to our witnesses, Mayor Bowser, Chairman Middleton, Attorney General Swab, and Mr. Jackson for your service and for your testimony here today. I appreciate all of your voices and your leadership to fight for DC and its rights. You debunked a lot of misinformation today. Washington, DC is a great American city which deserves to govern itself like any community in our country. If Donald Trump wants to run DC, he should resign as president, I'm here for it, and run for mayor. Congress should not waste time undermining the city's elected leaders. We will continue to work with you all to support real public safety through smart policies that support communities and hold criminals accountable. We will work with you to tackle gun violence and to protect the rights of every American. Our committee will not ignore the real crime at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We need to stand up for free speech and against corruption and weaponization. Chairman Comer, I appreciate your commitment to work with us to hear from FCC Chair Brendan Carr, which I think is the most alarming news of this last week. I hope both sides of our committee are opposed to the President of the United States picking and choosing late-night TV hosts. It is ridiculous and dangerous. I'd like to thank our witnesses once again for your testimony today, and thank you for your service. I look forward to working with you throughout my time on this committee.
A novel issue,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Speaker,
And let me
something that
say,
is part of the foundation
DC crime reached
of what
new
makes
levels
this country
over the last several years.
great and
President
unique.
Trump
what
finally
separates America
tackling the
from so
crime
many.
crisis with the deployment of federal law enforcement. We are thankful to President Trump for wanting to tackle the crime crisis in this country. That was an issue in the presidential election, and it was an issue which every poll shows was important to voters all across America, especially urban and suburban voters. So we commend him for sending troops into the cities to support what local law enforcement we have. And I know, Mayor Bowser, I appreciate you and your leadership in the city. I know you're in a very difficult position as mayor. We believe that a lot of the problems stem from a lack of accountability where our law enforcement's hands are tied in Washington, D.C., as well as our juvenile justice rules and laws and system is not where it should be to hold the most vicious criminals accountable, regardless of their age. And I think you're doing a good job in a tough position. We disagree with a lot that the council has done. We would love for the Attorney General to be more aggressive. Hopefully the legislative agenda that the President supports, that we've passed out of this committee, hopefully it'll become law, and we can see if those new laws help hold people accountable and lower the crime rate in Washington, D.C., which is what the goal of this committee is. It has nothing to do with race. This has nothing to do with discrimination. This has nothing to do with picking on Washington, D.C. This is our home too, and we want to make Washington, D.C. safe. We have employees here, and we have a whole lot of constituents that come here every day, and we want to make this city safe. And I think we can work together, and I look forward to working with the council, Chairman Middleton, with the mayor, with the Attorney General, and with everyone, all the stakeholders in Washington, D.C. In the same collaborative way that we were able to bring the Washington Commanders back to Washington, D.C. In the same way we passed the Show Up Act, which I think has been part of the economic development woes in the city. Remember, under President Biden, he extended the work from home agreement or whatever they had with the federal employees. And you have government agencies that for years didn't have employees going into those offices. That affected restaurants, that affected food vendors, that affected a lot of the local economy. And we've passed a bill in here, the Show Up Act, to try to get those federal employees to come back to Washington, D.C. to work like the rest of us have to do. So I think we've demonstrated that we've worked together.
I think Chairman Comer's doing a great job. Am I still muted? No, I'm not. Appreciate that. Thank you, everybody tapping in. Oh, did the screen go black? What the fuck? All right, yeah, hold on. Which screen is it on? Oh, it just went black in general. Let me just flip this over. Is my OBS fucking up again? No, it's not. All right, let me get this down. I got Bernie Sanders speaking, but some members of Congress are going after Pam Bondi. I want to hear what this member of Congress has to say on the floor. They're actually speaking on the floor now. Going to go live on the floor in a second. Take a couple calls and talk to my wife to see if I'm doing pickup today.
Mr. Speaker, today we celebrate the 238th birthday of the U.S. Constitution, and we reflect on the document that enshrines the freedoms that we hold dear. At the heart of those freedoms is the First Amendment, the right to free speech. It protects popular speech and speech that challenges, provokes, and offends. That's the point. This week, the Attorney General said that the Department of Justice would, quote, absolutely target you, go after you, end quote, for so-called hate speech, a dangerous misreading of the Constitution. Though she has since walked it back, the message was clear: this administration would rather silence dissent than defend liberty. I hear defense of the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. But I want to make sure that we defend all amendments, including the Fifth Amendment for due process, the 10th Amendment, rights that are reserved for the states and the people from the federal government. Our rights don't come with an asterisk. We don't surrender the First Amendment or any others to political convenience. On this Constitution Day, let us remember the greatest threat to democracy is not exercising our rights, it is the effort to suppress those rights. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
I mean, I think the Republicans are going to have an issue if they start coming after people for hate speech. Honestly, you can disagree with people all day. I think that, we're all open to our own opinions about whatever, right? And whatnot. But there is a point of saying, what the hell is free speech? I don't agree in hate speech, but I can always agree that, I don't agree with you, but fuck it. We're just going to agree to disagree and keep on moving. Let me fix this up full screen because I'm trying to find something to talk about and stream next, but I can't find nothing good in live right now. So, yeah. Give me 2 seconds. I just want to ramble on the bullshit. So let me actually find something to talk about. That Byron Donald's Jasmine Crockett shit was actually kind of lit for real. I was editing up that content on the stream. That's why I was kind of off, but it was kind of crazy to see them go at it so adamantly. It was kind of fun to see. I like that kind of shit. I'm not a black on black crime kind of guy. Hey, let's gun old school Western kill, right? Let's have a debate on topics that we can actually change and again come together at the end of the day, right? But most people don't want to do that. Most people want you to either fully agree with their opinion or just call you an idiot for believing what you believe. And there's never a point of saying, you know what, hey, I can kind of find middle ground with you. Because that was my whole DUI argument, right? Do I think that the more bad people are incarcerated in jails, the prison industrial complex system, whatever it is, yeah, it's set up. But there are underlying issues on how we get there. But I do feel that if there are underlying issues on why black communities and the black culture are dealing with crime as the number one issues that y'all feel in the black community, all right, cool. Where is, comparatively, other races in jail? What are they arrested for? Where are they overpopulated? And what is it? It ends up being crime, larceny, burglaries, everything else. And it's not to make it about race. It's say, you know what, crime is crime. A DUI, you can get 3, 4, in some states you get 2, 3 DUIs before they even suspend your license. That's technically 2 or 3 times to kill somebody. While in assault or robbery, you find out right then. And I'm not justifying either one of them. Crime is bad across the board, but I do feel it's you know what? Again, like I said on stream, don't demonize the narrative and only focus on the negative and not highlight anything positive outside of young children, right? You love to see a family. Hey, when everybody's innocent before they're 5 years old, it's cool. But the second anybody becomes a teenager, they're a threat to society, whether they're inner city Caucasian young man in the suburbs dealing dope or a young melanated black man in the community serving dope, right? So at the end of the day, I think we have underlying issues that we don't want to address. We want to point the finger both sides, but at the end of the day, we have a race problem. And that's kind of like my own mind. To me, it's like, damn, if you can neutralize one argument, then people are like, you know what? The numbers don't relate. They're not enough. There are more people in jail for assault than there are DUI. Cool, right? Get there. But if you can at least say, you know what? Well, crime is crime in the Bible. You know, evil for evil, sin for sin. At least meet middle ground with some people. And maybe that's me being like, hey, Virgo, I just want the best for the world kind of shit, right? But I just don't believe in the victim mentality that black folks take, and that anytime a black person speaks out about the bullshit, it's black fatigue. It's like, no, bro, I don't even believe in reparations or half the bullshit half the people talking about, but you can't collectively, and people do this, other races. They get 4 or 5 arguments, they stick in those arguments, and they want you to beat those arguments, but there's never beating those arguments. But reality of it is, just like when Byron Donalds got offended, that they called him a fascist and other Republicans a fascist, you're talking about shit you don't even experience. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like the other day, no bullshit. I dropped my son off to school. I may have said this on stream another day. I dropped my son off to school. Cool. From there, I'm driving by an AutoZone and I see a man at an AutoZone carrying like the Armor All pack and the paper that you like clean your car with. And he's running out and the police are there. They didn't chase him, right? They like roll down the street. And I'm like, so like, you mean to tell me you would, there's a part of your mindset that says, damn, it's cool for me to get up 8 o'clock in the morning and go steal from AutoZone for some shit that only cost maybe $25, $30 to maybe get a record for stealing, for theft, petty theft, right? That's the shit Charlie Kirk didn't be talking about, and Nick Fuentes and all of that. Like that shit, I'm like, you know what? I see what the fuck Charlie Kirk talking about criminals and shit. But then again, they're not driving through Edward Waters University or the Hood or Urban Core, where you'll see this. They're living in a community where they're not exposed to it, but they're throwing dirt on a community they never even stepped foot in. And that, I feel, is the problem. Because down the street from that same location is the same spot where a young man went and killed 3 black people working at a Dollar General just because they were black. Because of the narrative that was being pushed in politics. So no, I don't think we have somebody said earlier, I don't think we have I'm scared of white people, I'm scared of Asian people, I'm scared of black people kind of shit. I think we have a politicized problem. But then again, we do have YNs who do reckless shit. It's like, you know what? Is this the same shit that our previous generation was telling us we're doing reckless shit? And we haven't really curbed the reckless shit? Because I'm quite sure you can watch it in the old movies, right? In the 70s, like the blaxploitation movies, look at what the parents are telling the kids then. Like, hey, you're not doing it like how we used to do it. And this, you're acting crazy, you're acting this. And it's like, by the 70s, what they were doing in the 70s, by the 80s is normal. By the 80s, 90s is normal. By the 90s, shit, it's 2022 now. You kind of get it. But there's a part of it to say, you know what, damn. I was a kid in the 90s, 30 years ago. What I envisioned as regular for YNs, as me as a YN at the time, was regular, isn't regular today. Different mindset. People can stream, they can game. And when I was a kid, you gamed on a Nintendo in your house. Maybe a cousin or your neighbor come over. Now I can game with somebody in London, England, or India, or whatever. I can stream to people, whatever, like you're watching me now, whoever's here in the world. But regardless, I'm done for today's stream. I may stream again tonight, but I'm tired. We've been 5-6 hours today, no lie. About at least 200,000 people. Appreciate y'all tapping in. I don't have anything else. Let me check the chat just in case anybody's here in the chat that wants a question. Oh, I got a donation. I didn't even see it. PTVB, I appreciate you, man. Go to the government side of presidential pardons. You'll see Joe and Hunter's associates. Joe did the same, and Trump's business associate too. It's one administration. It's all together, right? Either way, those YNs ends are RYN. Those YNs ends are RYNs. I get you. I think let me read through. Stop using microwaves. Browsers, never. Is it just Trump? I'm talking about people in the comments. Oh, I got you. Welcome to the internet. You new here? What's the best option for democracy? I think, honestly, the best option for democracy is educating people. I think educating people about policy, educating people about real process. And that's kind of why, like, I really feel that there should be a reality show about, like, politics. And I don't mean the scandals and the cheating and the lusting and all the rest of that shit. I mean, actually, the drama behind, hey, I have 16 bills coming before me in committee. How can I prepare for that? Meetings with lobbyists, meetings with other people, corporations, and having their interests all kind of put together to say, you know what, damn, I'm kind of digging this. I'm kind of feeling this, because the same drama that they have in Love and Housewives or Real Hip Hop or whatever, right? It's the same drama in politics. People just don't want to get involved with it because they're just so polarized, Republican, Democrat. But I personally feel what helps democracy is when you see a Jasmine Crockett and the Byron Donalds having a drink or dinner together, say, hey, great debate. We made media. You got CNN. I got Fox News. How's your wife? How's your husband? You doing good? Hey, maybe we hit Spain with our families in the summer, right? That's the kind of America I think kind of helps, because it doesn't demonize other side for having opinions. Because right now, politics is just, hey, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. I'm right. Me and my team are right. Fuck you. We're winning. And it's never a fact of, you know what, Democrats and Republicans elected us. Because there's some Republicans in some districts where they have black people electing them, Democrats electing them, and the NPAs electing them. They're like, you know what? We know you're a Republican, but fuck it. You got us. And they know they represent these people, right? And I think that when there's a show of camaraderie on a national level, more bipartisanship, more to say, you know what? The president's wrong. Mike Johnson and Cory Booker coming together type shit to say, hey, let's put this on the table for the American people. I think that thing kind of helps democracy, right? I don't think where it's all or none on one side kind of works. And you can kind of see it. My analogy to it, if anything, would be like the NBA, right? I grew up in a time where you saw the Lakers get Gary Payton, Karl Malone, and they stacked these super teams. You've seen LeBron James do it, stack super teams. And it's like, you know what? All of a sudden, we stack a super team in Miami with the Heat, even my LA Clippers, right? They're going through shit now. You stack a super team, and all of a sudden you run up on the Dallas Mavericks, a team that's more hungry. Could be Democrats, could be NPAs, whatever. But the all or none ain't it. Because when the all or none loses, who loses the most? The American people. Your gas goes up, your food goes up, the price of everything goes up. Then we're back in 2006, 2007. People are sitting here like, damn, it was just good. It was good just a week ago. But regardless, I think helping democracy is actually showing more collective camaraderie in relationships that actually happen in this process, more than the negative, right? I'm not reading through all this. Either way, let me call my wife. Let me see if I gotta get my son from daycare. I appreciate y'all tapping in for the stream today. We're about 77,000. I don't know how many subscribers we have. I think we were just over 6,000, right? Let me see where we got. 6,061. That's still a good jump. Let's see if we can get to 6,200 next stream. Either way, y'all have a good afternoon. I may be on later tonight. I may not, but y'all check. And if I am here, make sure y'all tap in. Y'all have a good one. Uncle, real quick. Frank Moore, appreciate you tapping in. Texas Thunder, appreciate you tapping in. Dana, Jews got their reparations. Yes, not really. Go, even Ta-Nehisi Coates talked about this in his latest book, that there was a German kind of, I believe, they were against giving reparations as well. So it depends on what that is. But I feel that the black reparations today is actually being involved in politics. Like, we have to be able to carve out what we want in our communities. We can't just complain about it and demand something from government without having a roadmap to tell these elected officials, respectfully. Only because I know for a fact, if your local state elected official is bogged down with local issues, people like trash not getting picked up, businesses want to move into the community, rezoning, redevelopment, jobs, healthcare, homelessness, guess what? Your state elected officials are dealing with that on a statewide level, right? And there are all these issues that they have to deal with, people calling them for solutions. And your federal level, folks hit the same thing. So I know for a fact that if we want reparations, we have to be involved, but being involved means giving them a pathline and say, you know what? I've identified this trust fund, I've identified this program, and I've identified this law. Here's how it helps benefit my community. Here's how it helps benefit the problem, or here's the problem that we have, and here's the solution. The solution is my organization is partnered with ABC, XYZ. We're going to do this or this. If government tries to fix this, it's not going to be fixed in 20 years, but we feel we can fix it in 3. Here's how we do it. A, B, C, all the way to Z. From there, here's the solution. Let's work together to get it done. And then collectively, you can talk to a conservative Republican or a super liberal Democrat. They'll get to a point of understanding exactly what you're saying. But when you just go with the rah-rah bullshit, when you go with the rah-rah nonsense that doesn't really get people engaged in moving the needle, you're going to get bullshit, and it doesn't help us get reparations or any kind of help in America. But that's me. That's my take. I appreciate y'all hanging out with your boy today. They're hanging us. Can't vacate with that. Dana, well, actually, collectively, the one at Delta State, if we watched that yesterday on the stream, you can go back and watch the stream from yesterday. It was the end of Cash for Tails, right? We actually watched the police chief for Delta State University speak about that and how he was the second officer on scene. And on top of it, they're still investigating. The coroner actually has the body. So even though we can say they're hanging us and there were 2 hangings in Mississippi, the other gentleman was a homeless gentleman in Mississippi that was hung, a white gentleman in Vicksburg. I want to say maybe 30 miles away. I'm not that familiar with whatever, but have it go. Bro, get a job. Freedom in Christ. Thank you. I actually have clients that paid me for my time. And guess what? I allocate my time to them, and I actually blocked off a time today to say, you know what? I could stream today because I wasn't able to stream in June or late June, July, or August because I've been busting my ass for my clients. Guess what? I have a house to support, a household to support, a family to support. So guess what? I'm not going to bullshit with y'all and not make no money. Things are in charge. So guess what? Freedom in Christ. I appreciate you tapping in. Ms. Wallace, self-preservation. I cannot advise anyone to work together with anyone who would picnic at lynchings. What are you talking about? Picnic at lynchings. What does that even mean? I don't understand what that means because I know that the Republicans, super conservative Republicans I know, and the super liberal Democrats I know, black, white, Hispanic, white, Asian, indifferent, they don't want to see nobody get lynched either. So tell me who you want to have a picnic with, because when you really get to know some of these people not as bad as the media portrays them out to be. Let's not live in fear. Either way, y'all have a good day. I'm out. Cut that one. How many more?